So we are good to go. So it is 6:31 according to my computer. So I am going to call this meeting to order now. Let me see attendees, see if there's anybody there from the board. I do not
But there
see
isn't at the moment.
Jessica.
No,
See this, we have another.
770.
I don't know, that's a good question. Can the attendee with the 770 ending, who are you? Can you state your name, please? Sorry, can you unmute yourself?
Do they know how to unmute? Okay.
Yeah, so hi, this is John Horner. I am with Granada Hill South Neighborhood Council.
Okay, all right, John, welcome.
I know who that is.
Hi, John.
And then we have 563. Who is 563?
They have their hand up too.
Right, allowed to, oh gosh. 563, who would you be? Please unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, Oscar. This is Matt Viacia, Councilman Lee's
Oh,
office.
hi, Matt. Okay.
Oh, we should know that 563 by now.
Right. Okay. Oh, I can't move you to panelist.
Diana.
Let's see here. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Jason is on the attendees. Let's move him over. Matt, I cannot move you over to panelist for some reason.
That's okay.
Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so I think we're good as far as quorum. So we're still waiting on, oh, Denise is here, excellent. Okay, so it looks like Alfredo is probably the only one who is, and Thomas, or is Thomas on here yet?
No,
okay,
not yet.
So Thomas and Alfredo. Okay, well, I'm going to take roll call. Let's get this call to order. I'm going to take roll. Karen Waters.
Here.
Brian Allen.
Here.
Alfredo Castillo. Absent. Graham Zach.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Oh, Alfredo is in the attendees. I'll move him over. I'm sorry, Chris, did I skip you? I apologize.
You did, yeah. I'm present, I think.
Thank you, Chris. Well, physically I can see you, okay.
It's a good start.
Alfredo Castillo just joined at 6:34. I will make note of that. Sid Gold. Thank you. Thomas Hartfield. Okay, he's not present. Raheem Kazi.
Here.
Thank you, sir. And Ralph Croy.
Here.
Nathan Lee.
Here.
Thank you. Jason Lester.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Robert Moore.
Present.
Thank you. Denisa Pantoja.
Present.
Thank you. Alvin Waters.
Present.
Thank you. And myself, Oscar Jimenez, present. Okay, so we do have quorum. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Is that correct? I think I've got 14. 6, 8. Yes, okay, 14. Wow, that's excellent.
15.
What's that?
I thought you had 15 there.
No, we have Thomas who's missing, right? 12, so 14. Okay. All righty, so let's get this started then. So let's see, who can we pick to lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance? Tara, welcome. How are you? I'm going to,
Well, good evening, everyone.
I'm going to pick you
Hi.
to start us with the Pledge of Allegiance. How's that?
Did you pick me to do it?
I sure did.
Oh, okay, great.
So let's see if you guys can see the flag. I'm trying to, there we go.
Okay.
All right.
Please rise and put your right hand over your heart and unmute so I'm not the only one doing it. Okay, ready? Begin. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to
To
the
the
flag
flag
of the United States of America
America.
and to the republic
Republic
for
for
which it
which
stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Tara. Appreciate it. All righty. All right, so let's move on to comments, to item B, comments from government officials. So let's start with Matt. You're on the phone. Matt Viasia is representative from John Lee's office. So Matt,
Hello.
there you go. You've got the floor, my friend.
Thank you, Oscar. Good evening, everybody. I hope you all are doing great. Just have a couple announcements. First, just want to announce that this week we harvested the first batch of kale from the Los Angeles' first ever indoor pod farm. This is an incredible pilot program made possible through a partnership with Council District 12, the LADWP, and Electric Power Research Institute, and LAPD Devonshire PALS. And it serves as an example of how we can sustainably bring farming to our urban communities. As we move forward for a greener future, these are the types of projects that will benefit our communities and the environment in the long run. And Councilman John Lee is very proud to have had this project here in Council District 12 and looks forward to the possibility of expanding the program. Wanted to go over a legislative update. So good news for a lot of folks. We've gotten complaints about the increases in recent years in certain areas in terms of speed limits, and the state just passed and the governor signed AB 43, which allows cities to maintain and enforce existing safe speed limits and roll back speed limit increases that happened several years ago. And so there is a list of city approved streets, and that can be found on our newsletter, or you can also reach out to me. I'll be happy to send you that list so you can see if any streets that you typically travel see a decrease on their speed limit. Also wanted to just mention quickly, there's a SoCal Gas Care program, which can save you 20% on your monthly gas bill. We all know that gas prices are going to be going up at some point. If not, a lot of them have already done that. And so if you're looking to save on your natural gas bill, check out the SoCal Gas website and look up their care program. You can also find information from our office if you want to contact us. We'll be happy to send you that information to see how you can apply for it. It's very simple, and it's only requires an online application that will tell you in a couple minutes whether or not you qualified. So I would definitely encourage everybody to take advantage of it. Also, wanted to also mention that the LA Conservation Corps, if you're the ages 18 and between 18 and 26, you can. There are jobs available to join the LA Conservation Corps, and it's really an opportunity to help earn a good career, get certifications, and it's really a great organization. We work with them a lot, and they do a lot of our cleanups in our district, and also trim a lot of different trees. They do a lot of work, and even this council is doing some work with them. So that's what I've got tonight, and I'm sorry I have to run right now, so I can't really answer too many questions. I can take one or two, but I have another meeting I have to join very shortly. So if you guys have a couple questions, I can probably take two of them if that's all right, Oscar. Hello.
Oscar, you're on mute.
You're muted, Oscar.
I have my hand up.
You are muted, Oscar.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've muted myself. Sorry, Sid, you got the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I just read in the one of the headlines that the City Housing Authority, or the County Housing Authority, purchased two hotels at the Los Angeles Airport at the price of $380,000 per unit for for housing homeless. Are you aware of that? What's the thinking about how our money is being used?
If that just happened, I'm not aware of it. I believe that Colin is the person in our office that works on all the homeless issues, and so he might have more information. Do you want to reach out, or do you want me to have it reach out to you?
Why don't you have Colin reach out to me? Yeah, that'd be good.
Will do.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You got it.
Okay, and one more, Matt. I have an attendee. Is that Mr. or Mrs. Hales? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, this is John
There you go.
Hales. Just quickly, Matt.
How you doing,
Yesterday,
Mr. Hales?
John Lee had a meeting. It was roughly 15, 20 minutes long. He announced that the Extended Stay America across from Costco in Northridge is going to be converted to a home key project. That's all been confirmed. It was voted on and approved. Any idea on any
Council
particulars? The council file number is 21-0112.
Sure. What's the question about it?
Details.
Details. What details are you looking for?
When's it gonna happen?
Let me see here if I can find some information. Let's see. You know what? I'm gonna have to get back to you on that because I'm not able to access my email right now. But I can certainly look up that information for you and get back to you as to what details you're interested in. Do you have my email address?
Oh, yes, we do.
Okay. Well, if you want, you can send me those questions and I'll be happy to get those answers to you.
Now, make sure you include Oscar on the reply, please.
That would be
Will do.
great. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so
Okay.
much for your time, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Anybody else
Matt.
has any questions? Anybody else has any questions, just feel free to email me.
All righty, thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
and let's move on
Hi.
to Gibson. If you could give us an update.
Hi there, Mr. President, members of the board. Hope everybody's doing okay. I hope you guys after this get a chance to watch the State of the Union address this evening. And just want to touch base on two items. Just want to touch base with everybody in regards to what is being discussed at the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners tonight. Bonk will be taking several items of discussion. One of them will be the social media draft policy. As you know, the digital today there will be an updated social media policy. There was also a Department Digital Communications report. In addition to that, the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners will be also doing at Bonk this evening. There will be a presentation in regards to the board member conduct policy, it being updated, and so there will be discussion on that as well. And there'll be a manager report in regards to the Empower Light on the social awareness and engagement survey for City of Los Angeles residents, to where we were able to successfully gather about 7,000 responses from Angelinos in regards to what issues impact them. Out of the survey, over 50% of people, close to 50%, said homelessness is an issue of concern. While it is made obvious, we want to make sure that what we're concentrating as a department when it comes to survey is understanding quality of life issues. Another thing that we had touched base on the survey is that was highlighted was neighborhood crime. Out of this, over 6,000 people who responded, about 35% of them said they've never heard of the neighborhood council system. So this is a good opportunity for the department to increase outreach for this coming year, especially when it comes to discussion of elections. And that is something that we want to bring into focus and just bring into discussion. And so hopefully this board will get an opportunity to submit an impact CIS and what's being discussed, or just get a chance to review the meeting recordings after this meeting. But other than that, I may not be able to stay for long, but I'll be jumping back and forth. So if there's any issue that requires my follow-up, please let me know. I will be jumping to Board of Neighborhood Commissioners and I'll be right back. So other than that, just trainings. And if you need any follow-ups, please feel free to contact me. Hi, Mr. Allen. Mr. Oscar, you have your mute.
Oh, sorry, keep on muting myself. Brian, you've got the floor. Thank you, everyone. Unmute yourself, Brian.
Yeah,
There you
sorry.
go.
This is a question for the council too, Gibson. Have we updated, have we done the information to update our roster? If we have, then the question is to Gibson, why hasn't the roster been updated?
No, I haven't sent you anything as far as I should actually, because we do have to update it for some who are no longer on the board.
We'll get it updated in the course of the week.
Karen, did you send something?
When Michael retired or
Okay.
resigned.
Okay, so that needs to be updated. And then we also have Lali Manso, who is no longer with the board. So we do need to have her removed as well.
Okay, I'll follow up on those updates to make sure they reflect on the website. Thanks for
Thank
that
you,
reminder,
Gibson.
Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Gibson. Thank you, Brian, for bringing that up. Appreciate it. Okay, anyone else? I don't see any more hands. Okay, thank you so much, Gibson. Appreciate it. All right, and let's see, Ms. Charnovsky from Supervisor Quell's office. You've got the floor.
Thank you. You said my last name very well, but the supervisor's name is Kuehl.
Huel. Okay, well,
No, it was all very, very close, but my name is very hard too. So good to see you all. You know, I think what's on everyone's mind is the issue of masking. I'm not going to take away Tara's thunder, but you know, I think the big question is what's happening in schools and what's happening in our businesses in general. We know that the state has lifted indoor masking mandates. The county still has them in place, but not for long. So state rules are changing rather than sort of looking at daily transmission rates. They're going to be categorizing counties as high, medium, and low risk. And that will influence, I guess, you know, masking rules. Right now, LA County is in a high risk category, but we believe that by Thursday, we're going to be down to a low risk, and that will enable us to remove indoor masking requirements. That said, we still, you know, recommend, and for those of you who feel safer and more comfortable with masks on, by all means, you certainly can wear them. And I know in schools, and I know Tara's going to probably talk about this, that, you know, March 12th is the date that the state is going to remove requirements for masking, but it's up to the districts. Each district is going to decide, you know, what it is that they want. So I will leave that matter there. I wanted to mention, and many of you, I believe, were part of this meeting on Aliso Canyon. My team met with the CAG and the neighborhood council, the Porter Ranch, and probably some of the, I know some of the Granada Hills neighborhood council members as well, to talk about Aliso Canyon. We listened. We will be meeting with Department of Public Health sometime this week or early next week, and then meeting again with the CAG and other members of the communities, I believe on the 10th. So stay tuned. We hear you. We know what your concerns are, and we hope to address them on the 10th. So forgive me to folks who heard me talk about this in the last meeting I was at, the Granada Hills Chamber. I know, Ralph, you were in that meeting, so it's going to be a repeat. The county recently completed its vulnerability assessment. So that is really, you know, what is the county's vulnerability to climate change? Obviously extreme heat, you know, drought, potential actual flooding, hard to imagine, but it could happen. Sea level rise, particularly in the valley, you know, as we know, it's just unbearably hot. I'm from the west side, so I am not used to this. It's really hard, especially in the West Valley. So Supervisor Kuehl introduced a motion today at the meeting to create a climate resilience initiative. It will be incubated, it will be discussed, it will be, you know, housed in the Office of Sustainability, working with Department of Public Health, Department of Public Works, and at the end of around a year, they'll have recommendations for how we can help the county residents thrive amidst climate change and the struggles and challenges that we'll be facing, particularly with regard to heat and drought and that sort of thing. So stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be lots and lots of information on this. You may have heard at the state level, they've been talking about sort of categorizing heat events, sort of in the way they do with hurricanes. That might be one way, and opening more cooling centers, particularly for vulnerable folks who don't have air conditioning in areas where there isn't a great tree canopy and not a lot of parks. It's very, very hard when the heat rises above a certain level, and humidity as well. So these are the sorts of things that this office will be examining, and as I said, stay tuned, we'll be updating you on that. And then final, oh yes.
Oh, yeah, time's up.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
you.
I'm done. Any questions?
Hey, Oscar, you're muted again, and I think Robert joined us.
Robert, you've got the floor. Thank you.
Just one quick question. How is the state or the county determining the different levels of risk as far as masking and as the pandemic migrates into an endemic?
I am going to admit that I did not attend I was actually at the Granada Hills Neighborhood Council meeting when, not the neighborhood council, the chamber meeting, when the discussion happened about the criteria that they're using. My assumption is that it's going to be, transmission, hospitalization, and deaths. That's what it's been all along. But probably migrating more towards hospitalizations and less towards transmission rates or numbers is what I believe. It's probably a combo, but probably weighted more on hospitalizations. But let me find out, Sydney, and I will send an email to Oscar. I'm afraid I just missed it in the meeting. I missed the discussion.
Okay, so if you could, I'll forward it to Robert.
Yeah.
All right, and Sid, you've got your hand up, so you've got the floor now.
Thank you, Tessa. A couple questions. You may have heard the question I posed to the councilman's representative about the purchase of the hotels at the airport. I'm sure the county is involved in that. And I have a second question. With the real estate boom going up, how are the revenues for the county's pocketbook right now? I would imagine there's a real increase in revenues for the county based on just what I think is going on with real estate valuations.
Yeah, well, if the county has purchased properties by the airport, that is not our area. I believe that's Janice Hahn. I'm not positive. So I am not familiar with that, with those purchases. I do know that our office is looking at acquiring a property in Woodland Hills, the 818. To convert it into a family interim housing site. And there are some other places in the East Valley that we're looking at in West LA. As we know, costs are high because construction is high, renovation costs are very high, services, provision of services, the costs are high. But I'm sorry, I can't speak to that particular, those purchases there. And I can look at our latest budget numbers. As we know, the county does receive revenue from property taxes, so I can look into that as well.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? I don't see any other hands up. Okay, Ms. Charnovsky, thank you so much. Okay, and let's see who else. So Ms. Oganessian, is that correct? I hope I didn't mispronounce your name.
No, it's fine. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Diana, and I'm the newest field representative for the Office of Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares. I just have a brief legislative update on what's going on in the district and in the Capitol. The Assemblywoman's legislative package is fully introduced. She has various bills addressing different areas. One of them is AB 2450. It's a wildlife insurance bill that would allow insurance providers to lower premiums for those in high wildfire risk areas if they accept a higher deductible. She's also introduced AB 2384, a school safety bill that incentivizes schools to adopt anonymous reporting systems for threats and violence. There are a couple more bills that address different issues like education and crime. If you would like to see our whole legislative package, please reach out to me and I can send it to you guys. As far as the district, we just had our car seat safety event with LAPD, where they helped families correctly install their car seats. If you are unable to make it and want more information on how to receive this service, please just reach out to our office and we can tell you which police stations offer the service. We do have another event coming up this month. On Friday, March 25th at 9 a.m. The Assemblywoman is hosting a cyber fraud and scam webinar. This is going to be a virtual event. Everyone is encouraged to join. The Assemblywoman, State Senator Scott Wilk, and City Council Member John Lee, and the California Department of Financial Protection are just going to be there discussing how to protect your personal and financial information from different like online frauds and pandemic-inspired frauds. I don't have a flyer for this yet, but when I do, I can send it over to you guys. And just to let you guys know, the district office is always here to help you guys out. We have liaisons in all the different state agencies for any issue. So just if you have any questions, let me know.
Let me see. Okay, Sid, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Diana. Appreciate your coming. As you know, inflation is on the rise and California leads the nation in the price of gasoline. And I believe the state has a surplus of money right now in its coffers. Is there any consideration of removing the gas tax at this point until inflation is somewhat under control, or are we just going to be pushing the price of gas up further in the state?
Yeah, I do know that they are discussing it. I'm not sure if they've come to any conclusions yet, but if they do, I could let you know.
Do you have my email, or do we have your?
Yeah, my email is my first name dot last name at asm.ca.gov. You could also reach out to the Assemblywoman's email, and yeah, just so I have it. But if you want to give me your email, I could write it down too.
It's my name, Sydney Gold, all one word.
Mm-hmm.
2000 at hotmail.com.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. That's a great question, and I do have a follow-up to that, but let me give the floor to Alfredo.
I just wanted to ask you a little bit more, Pete. Tell me something about that flood and the higher deductible that's going to be available that you're trying to. Is there any specifics on what you're trying when you say higher deductible, what that exactly is?
Alfredo, you're coming in rather, it's not clear, and so let me see. Can you?
What was the bill? I'm sorry, you were cutting off.
You mentioned something about the bill for the flood insurance.
For the wildlife? I'm sorry, was that the wildlife?
I think it's about the wildfire deductible. Is that right, Alfredo?
No, it was about the
Yeah, you're coming in unclear. It's not. See, you can try. No.
No,
if you can email me or I can email you and you can tell me which bill it is. I'm sorry.
I will. I'll do that. I'll follow up with that. Thank you.
Okay, and let's see, Karen, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Hello, Diana, welcome. My question was about the insurance. I happen to be an insurance executive for many years. What you said that the insurance companies would give benefits for for higher deductibles. Is that what you said?
So the bill isn't like gone through yet. It's just been introduced, but basically the insurance providers would lower the premiums for people that live in the high risk areas. It would just basically it would try to help lower the overall insurance cost of the homeowner.
Well, we're already doing that. So that's why I wanted to make sure I understood what they were saying. So what are they trying? So many companies have left the state, as you know, because of the multi-billion-dollar claims paid out. So is there additional reduced premium? You know, if you increase someone's deductible to $25,000, $50,000, there is a substantial savings already. So is this additional savings on top of what's already the savings they already get?
I believe it's if you accept a higher deductible, then your insurance for the monthly would be lower.
Okay, yeah, that's already been happening. So what's the bill number?
It's AB 2450. I can reach out to our legislative director to get more of like a fact sheet on it. I don't have all the details.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other hands, but I did want to ask follow-up on Sid's question regarding the gas, because that was something I wanted to also bring up. In light of what's happening, you know, in Ukraine and everything, gas prices here are already ridiculous. I'm fearing that what's happening in Ukraine is only going to exacerbate that. So if you could get back to us and, you know, as far as that. and what is planned to be done to help the constituents, right, to help California. Further to that, the question I had is that gas was, imposed, and I'm going to use that word, imposed on the residents of California several years back by our legislative body. It was to be repealed, or there was a measure to repeal it, which unfortunately didn't pass because of the way it was put before the voters. It was a deceiving way that it was put before the voters, so it wasn't repealed. As a result, here we are. So the way it was sold to the voters was that these funds were going to be used for roads and infrastructure repairs. So what I'm going to ask for is, it'd be great if you could give us a report card in terms of how much of those funds were earmarked for these repairs, infrastructure, roads, as well as how much has been spent and what is the approval process for those expenditures. So if you could kind of give us a report card, that would be great, because I do want to know how that money is being spent and who is actually approving it.
Yeah, I'll have
that would
our
be great.
legislative director look into it. I know he's looking into the gas tax because it is a really big issue right now. So I think I have your email. I can reach out.
Great, thank you. Brian, you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. I am very, very concerned as ex-military myself and one who is older than most here and has seen a lot of this crap go down worldwide. I'm very concerned that there are 4 countries in the world that are dangerous just to use their name. And the only way we have of protecting ourselves and the world from major catastrophe, including a world war, would be to expand our production of gas and oil and supply it to the world. We have more gas and oil in this country than the rest of the world combined. We should be eliminating the dangers around the world by supplying that. We have a administration that decided that climate change is more important than saving people's lives from conflict, and we see that happening today. So I'm hoping that you can take back to the Assemblywoman the fact that some of us out here are extremely concerned that the actions of this country are going to create the possibility of a world war rather than eliminate it. And that's a serious statement to make, but I've seen it before. We saw it with Germany, not us, but the country has seen it with Germany when they said, oh, we're just going to take over this one area. And it ended in the Second World War, which was disastrous. I don't want to see us go down that road, and I'm hoping that others will voice their opinion the same way. So thank you for listening to me.
Is there another question?
Sorry, one
No,
more.
it's not a question, it's
Alvin?
a statement.
So Alvin, you have the floor, and then we'll move to the next representative.
Thank you, Oscar. First of all, welcome, Diana, and thank you for your presentation. There's one important question that I have because this is coming up at work quite a bit. This is primarily regarding the big push by the state for the proposed decision, and this is related to it's coming from the California Public Utilities Commission for the new solar requirements kicking in. There's a big push for NEM for the net energy metering 3.0, which is a potential threat to the solar industry. So I'm just curious on if you know where the California Public Utilities Commission is on that decision, as well as the state.
I'm not sure if they've come down to a decision yet. Is they're currently in talks, you said?
I think they're in from my conference call at work. From what I understand, they're in the public comment stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't think they've come to a decision yet. I could when they do, I could let you know, but I don't think there is a decision on that yet.
Do you know when, do you know what the timeline is that they're supposed to be having another discussion about this?
I don't, but I can look into it and try to find when they're coming up to that. I wasn't aware of the meeting.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvin. Thank you, Ms. Oganesian. Did I pronounce it correct? I'm trying to.
No, it's okay.
All right, well, thank you for joining us and thank you for your time. I will move on to Ms. Guzman.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to introduce myself. I'm the new field representative with the Office of Assemblymember Luz Rivas. I do oversee a partial region of the north side of Granada Hills. So I just wanted to kindly introduce myself and let you all know that I did grow up in this district, which is why I'm very passionate about this field in public service. I just wanted to let you all know that our district office has been actively helping with casework in regards to reaching out to state agencies such as Caltrans, the State Franchise Tax Board, EDD, the California Public Utilities Commission, the DMV, and the Housing is Key program. So if you guys ever have any inquiries and want me to look further into this, I would be more than glad to do so, and I'd be your best point of contact at our district office. I also did want to take the time to cordially invite you all to our community event, and this is for the youth. It's going to be hosted by the Assemblywoman and by the Do-It-Yourself organization. This event is intended to give youth exposure to the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I would be more than glad to send further details to anyone who is interested in registering for the event or who just wants to learn more about the field of STEM. I also did want to provide you all with some legislative updates. So as you all know, the state legislation had reconvened back in January, and we're currently still in session. I will be providing you all with more updates within the upcoming months in regards to legislative bills the Assemblywoman will be proposing. I did want to let you all know that the Assemblywoman was successful in securing over 18 million in funding for the Clean California State Beautification Project for our highways within our district alone. These funds will be used to perform maintenance to areas that are in high need. For anyone who is interested in learning more about the legislative bills she has passed, we highly encourage you to check out our official website. I just wanted to thank the board again for allowing me to participate in this meeting, and I look forward to learning more about your community items. If anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to email me. My email is jessica.guzman@asm.ca.gov, and my phone number is 818-504-3911. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
See, I don't see any hands raised, but Ms. Guzman, I'm gonna also follow with the request that I made of Diana. And that is, I would like to have a report card from Ms. Rivas as far as how many of those funds from the gas tax have been earmarked for road repairs within the state, how that number came about, and how much has been expensed thus far, and how those expenditures are approved. Who actually has the approval authority for that?
Okay, got it. And you said that's the expenditures for gas, correct?
Well, not for gas. I mean, the gas tax that was imposed on California residents several years back was sold to us in terms of, in order to pass this or keep it on the books, we were told that it was going to be used for road repairs and infrastructure. So what I'm asking for now is a report card of those funds that have been collected from the gas. How much how much was expected, how much has been spent, and also, how the expenditures are approved.
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and provide you with that once I get further updates, Oscar.
That would be great. Thank you so much, and welcome. And we look forward to working with you further. So thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Anyone have any questions? I don't see any hands up. Okay, Great. Thank you. So now Tara, thank you so much for waiting patiently. You've got the floor.
Great, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tara. I work for LA Unified School Board member Scott Schmerlson. I have a couple of updates on behalf of the district, and then I have several school updates I wanted to share out this evening. First, you might have gotten my email in mid to late January that the board selected Mr. Alberto Carballo as LA Unified's new superintendent of schools. He comes to LAUSD with 13 years of experience as Miami-Dade's superintendent, which is the country's 4th largest school district. And he officially began his tenure on February 14th. So he's been hitting the ground running, visiting schools, meeting with various stakeholder groups. There have been conversations about having him come and meet some of our neighborhood councils. So I'll definitely keep you appraised if when and if that is scheduled this semester. But we're really excited to have him on board. Last week, he released a 100-day plan. And I thought there were a lot of really interesting things in there. I think you all might think the same thing. If you'd like to review the plan, you can go to our district's website, achieve.lusd.net/100-day plan, and the 100 is a 100. I can also share that link with Oscar tomorrow in case you can't find it. I also wanted to put out there that recruitment is now currently underway for the district's community advisory committee, which is one of the standing committees that advises the Board of Education. And the CAC, the focus of the CAC is to provide input and recommendations on the district's special education programs. So if any of you, if you know someone that's really interested in special education, wants to grow as an advocate, this could be a really great opportunity. The application's due on April 1st, and there's an information session coming up on March 12th, which is a Saturday. So I'll share that information with Oscar as well in case anyone's interested. And then turning to some school updates, I wanted to put out there that our office was able to use our discretionary funds to purchase outdoor benches for El Oro Way and Danube Elementary. So those should be arriving hopefully at some point this semester. You never know with these shipping delays these days. And then just last month, well, I guess today's the first day of March. So really a few days ago, Danube Elementary revealed its new water bottle filling station. So this is a program that we are now installing water bottle stations. So if you have a reusable water bottle, you go and you fill it up. If you've been to the airport, a lot of malls have them these days. So we are installing those this year at all of our early education centers and elementary schools, and then moving to middle schools, and then eventually high schools will all have at least one water bottle filling station. So that's really exciting. I'm happy for Danube. And then Haskell also wanted to share out that this is Love of Reading Month at Haskell. So all month long, they are introducing the students to new stories. They're also having a celebration on the 18th of March that's called Character Dress Up Day. So they're going to invite students and staff to dress up as their favorite children's book character. And then the last school update I wanted to share out is that Kennedy High School recently got 2 exciting distinctions. So the Magnet Schools of America is an accrediting body for magnet programs, and they recognized Kennedy's architecture, digital design, and filmmaking magnet as one of, they recognized it as a Magnet School of Excellence, which is their highest distinction. And that magnet program is one of only 3 magnet high schools that received that distinction in California in 2022. So we're really happy for them. And then the gifted medical magnet got the 2nd highest distinction and was one of only 7 magnet high schools in our state to receive that honor. So really, really great things for Kennedy. And I want to acknowledge them at this meeting. And then on Friday, they're going to be hosting a showcase where they're inviting 6 of our local middle schools to come in person to their campus, see what a high school feels like, tour classes, and get a sense of all of the different programs Kennedy has to offer. So board member Schmerls and I are going to be there and are looking forward to meeting our middle schoolers. So with that, I will pause and see if we have any questions.
I have a question. Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hold on, Ralph. I saw your hand up. So go ahead, Ralph, take the floor, and then Sid, I'll come to you.
Thank you.
Years ago, we had a member of the LAUSD close down the manual arts programs because they were going to get everybody trained to go to college, which really wasn't so. And a month later, I had a discussion with Senator Hertzberg, and he was surprised because we need to know, and we need to have people trained in as electricians, auto mechanics, all sorts of things, plumbers, etc. And what we're doing is we're graduating people from high school that don't appear to be trained for any particular job. And I'd like to know what's being done about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think part of it is that there has been an increase in college going rates among LA Unified students. So that's one aspect, is maybe people that would have previously pursued the trades are now going to community college or going to a four-year university. That being said, you know, what I think is one of the greatest kept secrets of LA Unified is that we have adult centers across the district that are tuition free. Here in our part of the Valley, we have the North Valley Occupational Center. There's also the West Valley Occupational Center. I think one of your members is previously taking classes there, but they offer classes in various trades. And again, it's free for students. And so that's one avenue that every June, the district hosts programs for students that have graduated from school and aren't sure what pathway they're pursuing, to kind of figure out how can they continue their education now that they're 18 and an adult with LA Unified, so they can graduate with a certificate and enter the workforce. So that is one avenue that students can pursue.
That doesn't answer my question. The question is, high school students should have training programs in auto mechanics, etc., without having to go to special schools. They should be a standard in high school. I remember the days when they did that. Somebody graduated from high school and they could put on their application that they had taken training in auto mechanics, they had training in electrical work and plumbing, etc. That isn't what you're telling me now, and that's the answer I want. When are we going to have manual arts programs in the standard high school?
I mean, if that is something that your neighborhood council wants to support, one avenue of providing that education could be through a magnet program, which, you know, I was talking about several of the programs Kennedy hosts. I'd be more than happy if you wanted to send us a letter from your neighborhood council expressing that interest, to take it to the leadership of the district and being like, there is a desire in our community to have more of these programs. But I have not heard that from all parts of the community. And so when we introduce new programs, we obviously want students to pursue them. And right now that has not been a focal point of the requests that families are making to us.
So Tara, I guess it's more finding out if there's any consideration at the district to go back or implement those. Those used to exist at the high school level. And to Ralph's point, the concern here is that, you know, in light of technology, where technology is taking us, a lot of companies are now offshoring jobs, or they're finding ways to do it via technology, right? Computers. So these are the kind of skills that are needed, because you can't offshore those. And those are things that are actually necessary. So I think that's where Ralph is coming from, but if you can kind of look into that, that would be great. And then we'll go from there, but I do have, let's see, 4 more hands. I'll take the 4 and then we'll be done with Tara. So Sid, you've got the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Tara. Just a couple of questions. Is the LA district part of the National School Board Association? And if so, what is their reaction to the interaction between National School Board Association and the Justice Department branding parents as terrorists? And then I have a second question after that. So you don't know if we're a member of that association or not?
So yes, LA Unified, as most school districts, does send a delegate to the National School Boards Association. And I can't speak for the entire board, but I would probably say that they might disagree with the way that incident was characterized. And the NSBA did issue an apology, and it said that they should have, provided more context as to where their concerns are. And I think that's all we can ask for our leaders, is that if they make a mistake, they apologize for it and try to move forward. So I don't think that has been on the focal point of the board's business right now.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from the board. Maybe they issued something that I missed. My second question is, a number of school districts around the country are doing away with magnet programs and high achievement programs and things like that. Is the district looking into that sort of activity to do away with those programs as well?
I have not heard that. Magnet program, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of magnet programs within the district. They provide an avenue for students that don't necessarily live in a given community to pursue a specialized learning environment at a given high school. So I don't see magnet programs not being a part of LA Unified's future, at least in the coming years.
Well, maybe you're not aware, there's a number of school districts, Seattle for one, that has done away with those programs. They're not quite magnet programs, but there are some schools that are identified as providing a very high level of learning, and those programs are being gradually done away with. So it's not quite, I don't know if there's anything like that in LAUSD. There's certain schools that are identified as high achievers, and whether they're going to do away with those sorts of programs.
Okay, thank you, Sid. I have 2 more and then we will give Tara a break. So Alvin, you've got the floor. And then
Yeah.
Raheem.
Hey, Tara, nice to see you on here again. Just a couple of things. One, just kind of echoing what Ralph was saying. It's, this will be a hard one for you to maybe kind of speak on, which I understand, but I think one of my concerns is with the whole STEM push and from kindergarten all the way to high school, like manual arts is kind of a big part of that as well. So I think by there not being a big push for that, I think it kind of contradicts, the big push for STEM education, because manual arts is a big part of it. I'm just curious on your thoughts on that. And then the other thing was just kind of echoing. So I was one of the board members who was a beneficiary of the adult education program in addition to my college education. One of the concerns that I had, though, as a beneficiary, specifically of the electrical program, like in the Valley in particular, is I noticed that those schools are still not state certified, which means that if anybody was to attend that school and work for like a contractor, they wouldn't be able to get what's called an electrical training card, which means that would derail their pathway to a journeyman electrician. Just curious of your thoughts on that as well.
So to your second question, I think you probably know a lot more about this topic than I do. I did take some notes, but if you wanted to send me just a quick email with your specific concern, I can get an answer for you as to why they would not pursue the state certification and what's potentially like what the reason for that is. And then to your first question, yeah, I mean, I think that there's this tension where, you know, we are trying to bring more opportunities to our students, trying to diversify the types of students that have the opportunity to go to college, that have the opportunity to pursue those pathways. And for a lot of families who work jobs that that require manual labor, they also want their kids to have that opportunity to pursue those college pathways. And so I think that's probably the reason that shift occurred. But I definitely hear what you're saying about a desire for having students learn more access to learning about the plumbing, mechanics, different fields like that. But also keeping in mind that, of course, we want, there to be, the issues with those programs is that historically, children of color have not had as many opportunities as white children to access those higher programs. And so we're kind of, trying to keep equity in mind, that we're not funneling or encouraging certain students to pursue one pathway versus another.
That makes sense. I don't know if you're aware of this too, that now statistically, actually, the enrollment to college is actually declined. And I think a part of it may have to do with now that, a lot of students are realizing, they spend all this money, 4 years of education, they get out of college and they can't get a job. So it's demographically, I don't think it's really the issue, but I think now there's more people now leaning towards those trades, because I mean, there's people that could make money that you don't even need a degree for it. Like, I'm talking $100,000.
You're muted, Oscar.
Thank you, Alvin. Thank you, Tara. One more, Raheem, and that's it. Raheem, you've got the floor. Unmute yourself.
Hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're
Okay.
loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much for all the information you have. Just have a question regarding the position of the district in regards to the SATs and ACTs. Do you still encourage your high schoolers to take those? Do you help them in preparing for those tests, or this SAT and ACTs are kind of dead issue now?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think that there will be a lot of movement on this topic over the next year. The UC and the CSU and a lot of universities are moving away from having the any sort of standardized exam be a part of consideration for acceptance, which is for the reason students take the SAT and the SAT is because they want to go to college. So it'll be interesting to see if private universities follow suit. If they don't, then of course, we will continue to hold space for these tests to be conducted. A lot of our schools host SAT and ACT. Well, ACT is still on the weekend, but they host SAT days during school hours. So, students come to school and they take their SAT during school. So everyone has the opportunity to take it. I know a lot of schools still do after school and weekend programs. And kind of going back to it, the cost issue that Alvin raised is like, we introduce these resources because a lot of our families can't afford to pay for tutoring to support with those exams. So right now it's still in place, but I think if more universities don't want those scores, then the district will likely not have as great of a reason to be offering those resources.
So are most schools are shying away from those tests now, or what is the new thing going in that trend?
So the UC and the CSU, which I would say are the largest welcomers of LA Unified students once they graduate from LAUSD, they do not require those exams anymore. But if a student wanted to go out of state to a private university, they might. But you know, knowing kids that are in high school right now, a lot of universities, because of the pandemic, they're still waiving those scores. So you could submit it, but it's not mandatory. So a lot of people don't because maybe they took it during the pandemic and they didn't do as well as they would have liked, or maybe they didn't take it at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your time. Okay, so we believe we're done with government representatives. So we are going to move forward then to item agenda C. It is now 7:30, just time check. Item C, public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. I see some hands raised in attendees. My goodness. Okay, let's start with Mr. or Miss. Is that Mr. Hales again? Please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. It'd be me. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll make it fast. Today has been a very exciting day, but I tell you, I'm about to scratch the scalp off the side of my head where we've had District 12 people making announcements about projects at the airport. Yet they didn't tell anybody that yesterday their boss made a 20-minute dissertation online about the project over across from Costco. Well, what's interesting is there's one other project that they somehow neglected to tell you about at the mall, our fabulous mall, Brookfield, to add 350 apartments and a 6-story parking structure at the Northridge Fashion Center. Geez, I wonder. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. That to me is news as well. Okay, let's see, Mr. Mark Hoveder. Did I pronounce, sorry if I mispronounced your name, but you've got the floor. Unmute yourself, Mark, please. Let's see. There you go. There you go.
Hi, you guys and gals. It was great to hear all this educational information coming from Tara. You get paid overtime for that one. So, but my concern was this last week I sent an email to both Karen, Oscar, and Graham regarding a video that I did of Granada Hills High School cleaning up the surrounding areas. And I never heard back from one of you regarding putting this up on your website. And I've been complaining about Aaron for years now about what I produce locally for our community, free content, video, professional work, and he's not putting it up. And I was surprised that I did not hear back from either the three of you regarding this issue with your outreach program and your website.
If I may, I do recall, I did see that, and I believe, Karen, you did send a response to that?
Point of clarification, please. Yes, I actually have two witnesses, Graham and Alvin, who actually, and Oscar, and I think Brian as well. I did respond to you almost immediately, Mark, that so it is in your inbox, and we're not supposed to discuss this during public comment. So if you could please check your email regarding the response. There's some legalities involved, and the city attorney has given specific instructions. And that's as much as I can say.
Okay. All right. I didn't see it, so I that's why I came on.
Thank you, but okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's see, so we have Miss Clements. You have the floor.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Hello, Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Clements, and I am running for LA City Controller. I'm a third generation Angelino, and I've worked for the city for more than 25 years. I worked for 6 different departments. I've been chief financial officer of 2 different departments. I have a lot of inside information and experience, and I know what's wrong with LA and what we need to do to help fix it. And that's why I'm running. I'm incredibly frustrated at the mismanagement of the city. You know, there was a lot of discussion about gas tax this evening, and I don't know if you guys know this, but when the city offered a $80,000 retirement incentive bonus to city employees, some of those bonuses were paid out of gas tax, which is just incredible. And under my watch as city controller, that would never happen. I have a lot more substance on my website at clements4controller.com, the 4 being the number 4, but I would be focusing on stopping corruption in the city, eliminating the ongoing budget deficits that result in city services and cuts, and also improving city service delivery through enhancements to technology and civil service and contracting reform. As you guys know, we have a lot of problems in the city, but because I have so much inside information and experience, I know what to focus on to help fix it. So anyways, thank you for your time. I just wanted to introduce myself, Stephanie Clements. I've actually really enjoyed listening to your meeting, clements4controller.com, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Clements. Okay, I don't see any other hands up. Yeah, okay, hold on. Mr. Horn, you have the floor.
Yes, hello, thank you. I appreciate being able to join your meeting tonight. As I said before, I'm with the Granada Hills South Neighborhood Council. And my reason for joining you tonight was just to do 2 things. One, provide an update on the 2022 homeless count, which took place last week. It was delayed 1 month in Los Angeles County due to COVID. Granada Hills South Neighborhood Council was the sponsor, and we held the event, the count, at Our Savior's Granada Hills. We had a small but mighty group of volunteers, 12 in total, who were able to count about half of the census tracts. We were able to count all of the tracts in South Council and some in North, but given the low turnout of volunteers, we were not able to do the entire all census tracts in all of Granada Hills. And the reason why that's an issue is because the count is only as good as the census tracts that are counted to have statistical accuracy. And I would really encourage next year that Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council comes on board with South Neighborhood Council as a supporter of the homeless count, and that you join with us in both advertising and actively soliciting volunteers. South Neighborhood Council has to do a better job of that as well, and I'll be bringing that up in our meeting on Thursday, but we definitely could use the North Neighborhood Council so that next year we're able to have at least 30 to 40 volunteers out so that we can count the entire Granada Hills area. So I just want to point that out. The count will be the last week of January in 2023, and I will come back to your meeting as we get closer to that, just to encourage you to be a part of it, because everyone needs to participate to have a statistically accurate count throughout the entire county. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Horn. Okay, and as far as following up next year, I would recommend at least a couple months before the count, just so that, you know, we can get ourselves organized.
Great, will do.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I don't see any more hands up. So let's move on then to item D, President. The first item that I have here, committee motions for board action. I know it's kind of very vague. So just several things for the committee chairs. You know, going forward, we all know that our board meeting is the first Tuesday of the month, right? So with that, the executive committee meets the Tuesday before that, so the week before. So what I'm asking all the committee chairs is that if you do have a meeting for that respective month, please make sure to send me any motions that you want on the agenda before the executive committee meeting. So typically I post that the Saturday of. So if you guys can send me those motions, ideally by Friday, that would be great. The second thing is also when you send them, please send them in the format that it needs to be on the board agenda. And I ask that because I don't have too much time to be, taking these motions and putting them together or trying to figure out how they need to go. So please put them together so that I can just simply copy and paste them onto the board agenda. For the most part, most committee chairs here do that, but I just want to pretty much emphasize that for everybody. Okay, so thank you. And that's the thing with that one. Okay. Any questions on that, by the way? So, all right, but thank you for everything that you do. I do appreciate it, but again, there's a lot. I work my day job and there's a lot to try and keep these things moving. So whatever you can do to help me, I truly appreciate it. Let's move on to item 2, guidelines on how NCs are to host candidates running for an office. Karen, you asked, this was not before the executive committee, so that's why I put it under the president's comments. This is something that you attended a class, so if you want to help elaborate on that, that'd be great. And thank you for attending the class.
Sure. Oh, you're welcome. And I'll be very brief on this. Just for another point of clarification, in our last meeting in February, it was stated that elected officials should speak during the government elected officials, but that's not correct. It's either for public comment or, as we have done historically, we can collaborate with our other fellow neighborhood councils and host, well, now that the mandates are over, maybe we can host something in person. But so that's the way that it would, it's supposed to be, and we have to treat all candidates equally. Welcome, Ms. Clements, this evening for being here, but we have to treat them all equally, and we have quite a few. We have a number of the mayoral, the controller, et cetera. So we have to make sure we treat them equally. And so I'll send a copy of the meeting or the recording so everyone can take a better look at it. And that's it.
Great, thank you. Okay. Then item 3, this is also something that was suggested. It was not in committee, so that's why it's under the president, and that is that came from public safety. Discussion and motion to approve a CIS supporting the council file 21-1465 if amended to include reinstatement of ordinance 8502 to allow the towing of recreational vehicles as mentioned on 2/23/22 at city council. So you did see that file. If you don't have it, I'm happy to share it on my screen. Let me see if I can do this. Share, that's not the one. That would be this item, and it's, let me scroll.
Oscar, it's the other attachment. That was the city council agenda, item
This-
13, but just.
Which? I'm sorry, what was that, Karen?
It was the one next to it. This is the one that had it. This is actually the city council agenda where it was item 13.
Oh, I
And
don't.
then-
Okay, so I must have missed the one next to it then. So it's not this. I was thinking it was. Here it's
Or
just
you could just go
briefly.
down, scroll
here's
down
just-
to item
here's just
13,
bri-
Oscar.
Here it's just briefly mentioned. It's on page 13, I believe, or item 13. Yeah, that's why I put it on
Okay.
the agenda. Let's see. So here we go. Okay, so Public Safety Committee report relative to violent property crimes originating from or occurring within corridors populated with recreational vehicles. Recommendations for council action. Direct the Los Angeles Police Department to report on violent property crimes originating from or occurring within corridors populated with recreational vehicles. And so on. Okay. So the gist of this, Nathan, if you wanted to elaborate on this, but I like the idea, and as far as putting this back into effect, because as we see, like in many communities and mine as well, we have postage signage that says no parking from certain timeframes. Unfortunately, they are doing so because the city is not enforcing these violations. So that is the goal with this motion.
Yes, Oscar. Yeah, we've had a lot of complaints from concerned stakeholders, especially recently in the last few weeks. I believe Kelsey Hawthorne, Deborah Wexler, I believe it's a Miss Sushmita Saha. And a lot of these complaints relate to recreational vehicles along various streets in the Granada Hills North neighborhood territory, including but not limited to Rinaldi. So I know we have a couple other items that are going to be discussed later tonight on the Public Safety Committee portion of tonight's agenda that relate to no parking on Rinaldi. And I don't want to get ahead of it, but I think we, public safety and at least me personally, I would support, this measure that's being raised right now.
Thank you, Nathan. Karen, you've got the floor.
Yes, I also encourage your I vote tonight on this one, my fellow board members. It was actually Councilmember Buscaino who presented this at the city council meeting. And as to Nathan's point, this is not only happening in Granada Hills, it is now before city council because it is coming up before it's a problem throughout the entire city. And there is danger. Oscar and I, had done like a location check several months ago. I think it was summer, wasn't it, Oscar? And we could see, I think it was about 13 of them at the time. So this has been an ongoing problem just for so long. So to see this here is what we need to return the neighborhoods back to the taxpayers.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Sid, you've got the floor.
Thank you. I agree with the concept of this motion. However, as I read the resolution itself, it has to do with violent crime and property crimes arising from recreational vehicles and the way it's. So I think we have to restructure the CIS someone to address what the Public Safety Committee is addressing, that's violent crime. And I think an improvement would be that violent crime and whatever would be reduced if cars or recreational vehicles were towed away according to the previous bylaw. That's just my comment.
Thank you, Sid. And I agree. So something needs to be done. We can't keep ignoring this. Okay, is anyone else have anything to share? Comment? Okay. So let's move forward then. And see if I can get this right. Good grief. Sorry, everyone. Okay. So shall we go ahead and take a vote on this, or does someone have to actually, does someone want to second this motion because this did not come from committee?
Second.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, so let's take a vote here. Any opposed to this? Any opposed? State your name, please. I hear none. Any abstentions? State your name, please. I hear none. Therefore, this motion passes unanimously. And I believe that is 14 votes. Okay, excellent. Thank you, everyone. All right, let's move on to item E1A, motion to approve the board meeting minutes for the February 1st, 2022 board meeting. Alfredo, thank you so much for taking care of that. And I can, let me see here. Good grief, Charlie Brown. Sorry, I'm having some challenges with my Zoom.
You could stop sharing, sir. Maybe that'll help.
What's that?
You're sharing your.
Well, I wanted to share the board meeting minutes. Does anyone want to see them? They were sent out with the meeting agenda. Would anyone like to see them?
I move to pass them.
Okay,
Submit it.
okay. All right, so let's take a vote on that then.
Need a second first, I think.
I
All right.
second.
Raheem seconds. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sid, for that clarification. Okay, so let's move to a vote then. Any opposed to this motion? State your name, please. I hear none. Any abstentions? Please state your name. I hear none. Okay, this motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. All right, treasurer report. Brian, you have the floor. Well, actually, we need to, did you by any chance, can you share the MER for January? I did not
Okay.
have that.
Sorry, if you give me rights, I'll try and
I
share
will,
it.
I will make you co-host. That way you can share your screen.
May we please have mute someone? There's some interference in the background or background noise.
Yes, let me just mute everyone else for now. Okay, Brian?
Not yet.
No.
Everybody does have it, only the attendees don't know what it is. Having difficulty.
You want, while you're doing that, you want me to move forward?
I have it, but I'm not, I can't bring it up.
Because I don't think it was emailed, right?
Yeah, I emailed it to everybody. Did anybody not see it?
When did you email it? Let me see if I can.
Over the weekend, I believe, or Friday. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Oh gosh, if it was Friday, I should have seen it in my email.
The man sent it on the 27th, sir.
Monday then. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Oh my Lord.
On the 22nd, 2 days
Yeah.
ago.
What?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
I saw
FYI.
Right, well then
I saw the email. I can't say I saw the actual report, but I saw the email. I'll be honest.
Okay, so my apologies then for that oversight. When did you say on the 20?
Is it the MER you're looking for,
27.
Oscar?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Sunday, 6:48 a.m.
Oh, this past Sunday?
Yeah, the 27th looks like.
Oh, well then there you go. I had already sent everything out Saturday night. Let me see.
He was too late, huh? Yep, I knew it. It's his fault, huh?
I've already committed it to memory, guys, so I don't know why you're just so slow on the uptake.
Well, maybe you should give us the update, Chris.
My job.
Let's put it this way: there isn't much to see.
Okay, well, just give us an update, Brian.
He could have just said that.
Because I
can
don't
tell
yes.
you.
Thank you, Alfredo.
We currently have $33,701 to spend. We have, in the month of January, we paid Mission Hills for storage of $200. We also had the Granada Hills Community Foundation checks clear, which was 3,500 and 1,000. That was the total of the expenditures. And that's all there is.
Okay, and I don't think we have anything else pending at the moment, right? Other than the usual, the
Nothing is,
rental and.
well, there's stuff currently that is in process. There's the VCC, but it doesn't show up on January. It's in February. We have reimbursement to Karen, and there will be Mission Hills as well, and that's about it at the moment.
Okay, very great, very cool. Any questions for Mr. Allen? Anyone? No? Okay, I think, Brian,
No
if you want to move
questions.
forward and.
Let's get this out of the way. Voting for approval of the January MER. I need a different pen, sorry. Me, I say yes. Karen Waters,
Yes,
Sid Gold,
Yes.
anytime today. Oscar,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yes.
Alfredo,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Denitza,
Yes.
Jason. Jason here? I
Did
don't.
he leave?
I don't.
Oh.
Jason.
He's on attendees.
Jason back in attendees?
Oscar, you're muted.
Jason Lester's on attendees, yes. Thank you. Good night, Brian.
Jason's back. Okay, he's back in the panel. Jason.
Jason's back in town.
Yes, Oscar tried to get rid of me. You
Yeah,
can't get rid of me
that.
that easily, Oscar.
Chris?
No, internet went out here.
Chris?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alvin?
Yes.
Nathan?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And it's unanimous for everyone that's here. Thank you very much. Okay. What else is there to do? There is a notice here that on this everybody saw, I'm sure, that February's MER will not be available until the 5th of the month, so that will come up in April. And the CAG report, there's not much to report there. The CAG did have a meeting, as Tessa mentioned, with the staff of Sheila Kuehl. The meeting was a fairly decent meeting, I believe. As Craig has said, we are what's the word? We are can't remember the word. Sorry. We're optimistic that that it will present a final understanding and collaboration, but until we have the second meeting, we really don't know. So we're taking it one day at a time and hoping that we can come to some understandings and maybe make some changes to the RFP in order to make the health study much more robust than currently DPH is looking at. Other than that, there's not much else going on. And if you have any questions on any of this, holler. And the budget advocates are moving forward. Many of the departments have been written up now. All of mine were. I wrote up Dunn, City Clerk, Office of Finance, and those are already submitted. So we'll see how those work into the white paper. I have made a radical suggestion with regards to the financial operations in the city. It will not be accepted, I know that, but at least it's now opened up, and the discussion could ensue, and that is to modify the department's financial operations to put them all under one roof and have a treasurer as a city official rather than a controller. I've laid out the idea, and I can detail it if it ever gets to that point, but just so you're aware that there is a radical change suggestion that will be in the white paper. At least I hope it will be. The budget advocates will have they will be voting this year to replace or continue the members. We are short on some members, not in Region 2. We've been full for the whole time, but there are some regions that do not have representatives to the budget advocates, or missing some, and we're trying to solve that. So there will be a budget day this year. We will have elections, and I'm hoping that that we can participate in that. I'm not sure. I think, Alfredo, you're the other budget rep. Is that correct? I can't hear you, but if you're not, I'll know that yeah, okay. So both of us should be at that, and anyone else that wants to attend it may. I think it would be beneficial. And there will be other town halls coming up, so I'll keep you abreast when those actually are scheduled.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? As long as everybody stays muted, I won't have to answer anything.
Right.
Sorry, Brian. No, I keep muting myself. So when is that? What days are going to be, and is it virtual again?
We don't know whether it's going to be virtual or not. It's going to be in June.
Okay.
And it could be a combination, but I have a feeling that with all the changes, the state's making changes. Because of that, DPH is getting inundated with people asking them to accept what the state's doing, and they have moved much quicker than they said they were going to do to this point. So I think they're getting hammered, and they probably will relax these restrictions sooner than later, and therefore it might be a in-person budget day, but we don't know. We just know it's going to be in June. I think it's June 18th. I can't remember offhand. It could be 26th. I don't have that information handy, but it will be later in June.
And is this on a weekend or weekday?
This usually is on a Saturday.
Okay.
So I can't tell you at the moment because I don't have that in my hands, but as soon as I have it, I'll get it out to everybody so that you are at least aware and you can save that date.
Great. Thank you, sir. Okay. Is that it for Mr. Treasurer?
That's it. I can make it quick.
Thank you, sir. We're going to pass Plum. Thomas is not on the call, but I do believe he did have a meeting, right? Karen, you have that smile on your face.
Ms. Pantoja is the new co-chair.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Denise,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. So you want to give us an update?
Sure. We, as Karen mentioned, so I was voted in as co-chair.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so we just discussed like best practices when working with developers moving forward. And then, us rotating, attending NC plan checks, but that are held monthly, and just updates on Kennedy High School and the development on Woodley and San Fernando Mission. They weren't like the developers weren't updating, they were just updates we may have had. But I know we're looking to maybe have someone from LAUSD maybe discuss the project at Kennedy High School down the road. And I think that's about it. Karen, am I missing anything else?
No, not at all. I was actually, it was an excellent meeting. And regarding the Kennedy project, I do have that for our website. And as Denisa had pointed out several months ago, we want to make sure that the projects are available once they have been reviewed. I mean, these are large community projects that are available. So we're waiting for the San Fernando Mission in Woodley and the homes that are being built up on High Tower and High Tower up there. So, but yeah, that's it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for the update. And Denisa, again, congratulations. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Item H, Emergency Preparedness Committee Report. I don't know that we have anything, right? Robert, where?
No, there's nothing to report.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Are we
Citywide,
going to be having a meeting at some point? I was just wondering, are we going to have an emergency preparedness meeting, Robert?
Yeah, we should be. At some point, I have to get off the. Just been busy at work and haven't had a chance to plan, so.
hey, understood, believe me. Believe
Nothing
me.
else needs to be said there.
Oh, gosh, understandable. Okay, thank you, Robert. Citywide Issues Committee Report. Sid, so you've got the floor for yours. Where are you, sir?
I don't know, let me get me back here. Okay, there I am. I don't have a camera, but. Okay, the first motion, recommendation and resolution from the committee discussion and motion that GHNNC oppose mandatory training for members of neighborhood councils planning and land use management committee, and further move that each further motion that each neighborhood council develop its own qualifications to become a member of the planning and land use management committee. Oscar raised a good point. It was posted on our meeting, but no one from the planning and land use. Maybe we should discuss it for. But we as a citywide commission, we're looking at the resolution regulations coming in from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, basically instructing us what we have to know and what we don't have to know. And I'm a great believer, not every great idea has to be made into a law. Okay, that I think it's a good idea that every neighborhood council be trained and whatever. But if you look at what they're recommending, if there's no one on the committee that's trained, then it goes to the board, and everyone on the board has to be trained before they can vote on planning and land use management. And so that's the recommendation coming from Don and going to Bonk. And I don't know, maybe the planning, I should like to hear from Denitza and Karen to see if they feel that mandatory education is prerequisite from the city. I could see the neighborhood council itself making that recommendation, but coming from on top, the committee felt that was a little too much.
Well, having attended the plan check meetings quite frequently, the agreeing with Sid, board members, that the recommendation, which I'll defer to Denitza, of course, is that we can learn more from attending some of the key. We have some neighborhood councils in the city who are like A-list plum committees. So it would be better for us to engage with them and sort of get mentored by them. So instead of having some formalized training, which doesn't help our plum committee to understand our community plan and what's specific to us. So I think we can do fine by developing ourselves, but we do have to obviously do that so that we do know what we're talking about. But, I'll defer to Denitza.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Well, in yesteryear, when we had a planning and land use, and Ann Ziliak was in charge, she and I would go to programs put up by the city, et cetera, and the universities on land use laws and things of this nature. And I'm wondering if that's still available. Are we still in contact in that particular thing? Because I have a book that on land use laws or so that I have, and I was going to get it to Maria Fisk, since she's very active in this particular thing. But we should have something of this nature in our own program.
Is this program, or is this requirement that one training, Karen, that module where you have to go and they kind of walk you through
Right, it's
different-
about two, it was about 2 hours. It was
Okay.
actually two separate 2-hour sessions.
Yeah.
But it
so-
was more in the broad scale of what the city is doing versus what we have to do as a neighborhood council. And we developed, or we were able to have developed an excellent best practices for us on how to deal with the developers, how to pre-qualify them and work with them, and to understand our community plan, which I think we all do now. But I think we have a good understanding of our community plan, and know we have a new contact person at Council District 12. So I think between the classes that are available to us through Plan Check, I mean, with all due respect, Ralph, going places for meetings is just something we can't do. We are a working board and we just don't have time for that. But we do a good job of taking classes online and, as they are available to us. So I don't think, I agree with Sid on this. I don't think we need this. And to his point, in the event that, let's say we don't have a plum committee, we would have to have specific training, or the whole board would have to be trained. It creates a lot of problems for us.
So you don't think that having taken that course too, I actually found some information rather useful.
Yes, agreed.
And so having taken it, from my perspective, it does create somewhat of a baseline for
Yes.
members of neighborhood council to understand what LADBS is going through, and also gives you some tools. So maybe perhaps what it is, it's a hybrid type thing where, okay, we take that, but we are not held to these
The mandatory
these
requirement.
mandatory requirement, because to your point, maybe it's a hybrid. We see it, we go through it, but we can come up with best practices working with other NCs or other plum committees. So, because I did find it useful. I mean, and I think, if every member of the board took it, you would find something that's useful. I'm not saying you should, but I think for our board, if I'm correct, all of our plum committee members have taken that course.
Right, they have, and it
So-
was
so-
excellent.
So that concern would not apply to us.
Right. No, that's excellent. It was just to Sid's point, was that because it's made, the stipulations which Sid laid out, that it complicates things for us further to make it mandatory. It's available, but to make it mandatory.
Okay, no, thank you. Sid, you had your hand up, so you've got the floor.
I was just gonna thank Karen for her comments that everything, there's a lot of useful things out there. To make everything mandatory really puts a handicap on participating in neighborhood councils. That they're asking for 4 hours and this and that. And I don't know if there's actual training that a city council member has to take to be on the. I don't know if we have to take a course in city planning or whatever. It's almost like before you can vote, you have to have a certain education. I'm not in favor of that.
Thank you, Sid. Danitza, you've got the floor.
I just wanted to make comments towards what Karen said. And first of all, I want to thank Karen because actually she took the time to come up with like the best practices, speaking to other neighborhood councils, plum committees. So I think honestly that was more helpful than the training for me, because actually the training left me more confused than it did in terms of like giving an overview of what planning does. That was great, but in terms of like our role as a neighborhood council, like for a plum committee, it was like it left me confused because basically I think it was like one slide. So then I was kind of like, well, what is our role? Like, why do we even have a plum committee? Because it was literally just, I think, like a minute. I had to replay it because I was like, did I miss something? And so I think actually what Karen did was more useful for me than the videos, to be honest with you. So I think to Sid's point, like, making it mandatory, unless it's something more useful that's pertinent to the neighborhood council towards our role, would have been more helpful for me. I get going, understanding however the whole process works. Like that was just great information. But I was like, I kept waiting on like, okay, what is our role as a neighborhood council? I thought the training was going to be specific to our role, and it wasn't. So thank you, Karen, for setting that up, because like I said, that
You're
was
welcome.
helpful to me then.
At full disclosure, I do have to give credit to Anne Marie Holman. For those who know her, she is the public information officer. She's been with Brian, how many years? But she's incredible wealth of knowledge, and she served on a plum committee. So, you know, in trying to structure something accurately, she was just so helpful. So I have to, thank her for helping construct it. So glad you approved.
Okay, thank you, everyone. That was great input, great feedback. So let's see. Do we want to move forward with this? It came from committee, so it doesn't require a second. Okay, so I'm going to move forward then and take a vote on this. Okay, so any opposed to this item, state your name. I hear none. Any abstentions? State your name. I hear none. This motion passes unanimously. And that is with 14. Right, we still have our 14 members on the call. Thank you.
Okay, I'll move to number
All right.
2.
Thank you. Yes, please, if you could, Sid, thank you.
Discussion of motion of GHNNC oppose the draft proposal prepared by Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, Bonk, and further move that the Bonk support to return the previous policy of attestation by board members, and further move that each neighborhood council develop its own approved method of managing code of conduct violations committed by its board, committees, and or stakeholders. And I sent the attached recommendation that came from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment and the Bonk Committee. That lists, to me, it's a rather complicated system. And one of the things that I really think it breaks it into 2 areas. There's the code of conduct, which we all have to read and say we read, and then there's misbehavior on the part of the members of the board. And those are really 2 different entities, I believe. And the committee believe that too, and believe that, again, neighborhood councils really should be developing their own way of dealing with members and not having some sort of universal method to handle it. Each neighborhood council would have different problems in dealing with various members. And also, this would be the first time that non-members, committee members would also be involved in meeting this city equity requirements. And it's hard enough now to get members on the committee, and now we're going to subject non-board members, even committee members, to all these rules and regulations. So to me, I think it's over the top. It's very complicated, and the old method worked for the attestation, and that we do have ways in our bylaws to deal with members who are not participating in a healthy way. And I think that's what the committee was talking about.
So before I address hands raised, did anybody want to see it? I can share that document. Again, I did email it with the agenda.
Karen's got her hand up.
Yeah, no, so does Brian. Hold on, but so
you're right.
Brian, you've got the floor, and then Karen, I'll come to you.
Okay, the fact is that, in my opinion, they're going a little too far, as is normal when people want to try and gain some civility. And they being Bonk and Dunn, they are concerned about the lack of ability of the NCs to perform the task of managing their personnel. And I agree with all the comments that it is the right of the NC, responsibility of the NC to manage its personnel. However, there is no manager, there is no management. They are all equal individuals. And every person on an NC is equal to the other person on an NC, regardless of what position they hold. Therefore, there has to be some method of keeping everything honest and straightforward. And I say that because I have seen in some NCs where a group of individuals in an NC, and maybe a majority of individuals in an NC, determine that they don't like somebody and they just want to get rid of them. And there has to be something that allows for any individual to be in disagreement without being railroaded out because the rest of them don't like them. There is no reason to provide such power to an NC group to allow them to misuse their power. And I think that's an issue that has to be, we have to somehow find a happy compromise here. On the other side of the coin, we all know that civility is civility. Sometimes it's important and sometimes it's not. And we have to be careful how hard we come down on people. But I'm most concerned with the fact that it gives a group or a majority power that it doesn't deserve because they just simply don't like somebody or somebody doesn't vote with them ever, something of that nature. And I have seen that in the NCs. So it's just my comment.
Thank you, Brian. Karen, you've got the floor. You were next.
Well, thank you. So, my dear board members, there are, out of the 99 neighborhood councils in our system, there are 20 rogue neighborhood councils. If this was only applying to us, maybe, but we're all not going to be here forever. The problems, to echo part of what Brian said, there are some very serious problems. I'm not going to bore you with details, but trust me when I tell you there are some very serious problems at some of our neighborhood councils over the hill, as well as neighborhood councils here in our council district and, in the valley. One example I'll give, and Gibson might be able to clarify anything that I might not be quite right on. During our last election cycle, and there was new board members elected in, and the existing board, to a point that Brian made, didn't like the new board members. So they bullied them so excessively that all the new board members resigned. And Dunn took over running that neighborhood council. I haven't checked the status lately, but that's what happened. And we've had, they don't like someone and they will railroad not just the board members, but the stakeholders. And the city is concerned about liability here because there's, we are in a mental health time, which I think we all know more than ever. And there is emotional harm from bullying and dislike of this and dislike of that. Some of us have tough skin, but there might be some that don't have tough skin. And that bullying could lead to catastrophic consequences. So I would not support this because it has to apply to all 99 neighborhood councils, and there needs to be someone to hold accountable, and there need to be consequences. If someone is violent, which there was a couple of board members came to blows in a parking lot down south, there needs to be consequences and they need to be suspended. And if they don't clean up their act, this is a volunteer position. Find something else to do. But so that's my presentation on that. And I will encourage the no vote on that. Is it no?
Thank you, Karen.
Okay.
Sid.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments by Brian and Karen, and I understand their concerns. On the other hand, I wish Karen would enlighten me with all the aspects of bullying that's going on. I don't see a report of, I've never heard it ever mentioned that there are 30 neighborhood councils or whatever that are rogue. We have in our bylaws methods of dealing with discipline. We're all equal, but we have ways of being more equal than others by various positions that we hold. I am not equal in running this meeting to our esteemed president. He is in charge of the meeting. I'm not in charge of the meeting. There are committees in our bylaw that look at disciplinary actions. And if we want to expand our bylaws to set up meetings with other neighborhood councils, we're free to do that. But if you look at what in the draft resolution has been sent out by them, that the Dunn can suspend somebody for 90 days just on an allegation without any appeal. So the whole thing to me is flawed. And I understand that you would, to me, at least the first part of the resolution should be that we accept that what's been presented presently is not appropriate. You may vote against the second part, that leaving it up to each neighborhood council. But to me, the way they presented it is, if you read it thoroughly, there's many flaws in their document. And they're going to have a draft and a hearing session, and they're going to rewrite it. And I just, the committee feels that there's a lot of power being exercised outside neighborhood council control. And so that's my comment from the committee.
Thank you, Sid. Brian, before I get to you, I do want to share my thoughts on this. And, I believe that with an organization as big as NCs are, that conformity is important. There should be consistency, conformity. Yes, we should have the right to come up with ideas of our own. And the document that was put out, and you said this, Sid, is a draft. It's not something that is concrete as of yet. So that means that that's an opportunity for us to work with Dunn and Bonk and say, this language just doesn't work. Maybe we need to get rid of this. So we have an opportunity to share that and change it if there's something we don't like. But for me, overall, again, with an organization this big, I think conformity and consistency is important. The idea of having an NC come up with their own methods for, what do you want to call it, penalization or whatever, concerns me. I think that's leading us into a very scary, for me, a very concerning direction. Because even if we come up with that, I would expect, have to get clearance from the City of LA Attorney's Office. I would not feel comfortable putting something together and not vetting it by the City Attorney's Office. So, but that's me. So, Brian, you had your hand up. You've got the floor, and then Wade, I'll come to you.
Yeah, in order to try to explain where I was going with my comment without divulging personal information, there is a council in which they voted on an issue. It was a planning issue, and one of the members of the council did not agree with it and took it on his own to attend the city's meetings with the planning department and voice a different opinion from a personal standpoint. That didn't go over well with the council in general, and that council actually campaigned to keep this person out of other positions in other NCs, and was making statements that have not been proven to be true or false, but are not adjudicated. Therefore, when the statements are not adjudicated and you make a statement about something, you got to take responsibility for that. And that's not happening. So what happens is that council is dead against this person, regardless of what he does or says, and is keeping that person out of any committees because they don't want him on those committees. Now that's a situation that if you leave it up to the council alone, guess what's going to happen? No control whatsoever. It is a railroad situation. If this policy goes into effect, it would at least allow for a third party outside the council to weigh in. And I'm completely in agreement with the council having responsibility to take action on its members as a whole. But I think there has to be an oversight to review it, to make sure that there isn't a failure to perform honestly. And that's why I feel strongly that something has to change here. Now, I think we have the opportunity, if we want, as a council, to come up with some language to change this. I agree with Oscar on that. We should weigh in on it if we don't completely agree with it. But if we're not going to weigh in on it, my personal position is this is better than not having anything at all. Even though I disagree with some of what's in this, I think it's an overreach in some ways. That's my comment.
Thank you, Brian. Wade, you've got the floor.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm sure that my comments won't help anybody, but in the past, all of us have suffered because of these quote rogue NCs and all the draconian rules that have always been introduced and put on us. We go, hey, it's not us, it's them, but we'll get thrown into the same barrel as they do. So from that standpoint, I hate to see any more rules put on anybody. But from the other point of view is I can see when situations arise, okay, like we're talking about an NC here that's trying to keep a member out of everything and things like that. When situations arise, there does need to be rules put in place. You need to introduce rules in order to try to address any inequities and make it even. And so, I'd be conflicted that way. It probably is a need for some rules. And also, I hate to see new rules. So I guess my point would be, I would agree that you guys really need to go back and look at it is a draft, and make comments as to what you don't like, or make suggestions as to what could improve that new law, if you will. So that's why I'd recommend you guys, I don't know whether you want to approve, disapprove, but I would recommend that you take it under advisement and review it and come up with your own suggestions to make it workable. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Wade. Good insight. Thank you. Karen, you've got the floor.
Yes, thank you. I will be quick. I did participate in some of the committees for this policy. And the problem of nepotism is, again, a reason, which is what was expressed to me at the Congress in 2019. And a couple of these ladies were actually in tears because, to the point that everyone is making here, no one would do anything. They had bylaws, they had rule, they were, self-managing, and nothing was being done because they liked the person who was who was the bully. And so that bully was not removed. So with that being said, we could even maybe have an ad hoc committee to look at this, quickly, maybe not something drawn out, of course, maybe like one, Saturday, we take a couple of hours, we all read it, we make comments, and then we submit it and we move on.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Great feedback, great commentary. Any others? Anyone else? I don't see any more hands. Okay. So, okay, hold on. Two more. Brian, go ahead.
Oscar, can I just make a motion to postpone the decision, and secondly, to set up an ad hoc committee to meet maybe once or twice to present a response to this?
Okay, so there, you're talking about two motions. The first is to basically take this back to committee.
Correct.
Okay. So do I hear a second?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion is to take this back to committee. All right, so any opposed, state your name.
Didn't have my hand up. I was
Oh,
gonna say,
Sid,
I was gonna
Sid,
agree, I was gonna agree that.
go ahead, Sid. Sorry, I apologize. Yes, you had your hand up. Yes, sir.
No, I was just going to agree with Brian and send it back to the committee. And if you want to have an ad hoc committee, that as well too. But,
Okay. All right, so let's move on with the first motion, and that is, or we can, I mean, no, let's do it separately. So the first is to take it back to committee. Any opposed, state your name. I hear none. Any abstentions, state your name. I hear none. Therefore, this item will be going back to committee per unanimous vote. Okay, now, the next motion is to create an ad hoc committee to review this item.
Oscar, may I interrupt for a second? May I change that motion? I'd like to make that motion that the committee make make this a joint board and committee meeting, so that we can have more than just the committee members weigh in on this and other people have a say.
So, but wouldn't that be an ad hoc committee? I mean, it would be comprised of whoever wants to be on.
that would be a special meeting.
It would be a special joint meeting. That's all.
Okay, so Alvin, yes, you've got your hand up before.
So we just voted on the motion to take it back to committee. So if we're gonna, so wouldn't we have to motion to amend this now?
So there's not committee, but it's a joint session.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is since now we just voted to take it back to committee, don't we have to vote to, or don't we have to motion to amend it now?
No, because we decided to postpone it by taking it back to committee.
Okay.
There is no motion on the floor at this point.
So the motion right now is to do a joint special meeting. Correct? That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, but I do think that takes that requires the chair of the committee to agree.
Okay, Graham, you've got your hand up. You've got the floor, sir.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you take it back to the committee, can't anyone who wants to be involved in the discussion outside the committee just attend that committee meeting that it's discussed instead of making a separate?
Not unless it's a joint meeting.
So I guess at this point, then it's going back to committee. So then at the next committee meeting, then that would be a motion that you would have to make then, and that is to have a special meeting, a special joint meeting with both this committee and the board, right?
Oscar, it's not a motion. The chair of the committee would have to just simply establish the meeting when he sets up the meeting, make it a special joint meeting, and Sid knows about that.
Got it. Okay, so
yeah, that's good.
Okay, all right. So Sid, you and I will coordinate those efforts so I can get the Zoom properly scheduled.
No problem with me. I'm glad to work with you.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. So then let's
just, Oscar, just point of order, just so that everybody that's listening knows, in a joint meeting, the committee members are the only ones who can still vote, but anybody in the membership may contribute to the discussion.
Correct.
Okay.
That's right. Yep.
That's correct. Thank you, Brian, for clarifying. That's correct. Okay, let's move on to item I3, or Sid, that's yours. So take it, my friend.
Discussion motion of the GHNNC. Contact council member John Lee, advise him to initiate a council file that Los Angeles City Council rescind its action regarding Whiteman Airport and to propose instead that Whiteman Airport shall remain open for its activities. So I've done research. I've heard that the original motion back in 2020 was passed by City Council that they should close Whiteman Airport and sent a letter to the LA County. That's what they've already acted on that. That's my reading of reading all the documents pertaining to Whiteman Airport. And John Lee voted in favor of that it be closed. So he is in a position, since he voted for it, he can ask it to be rescinded since he voted for it. He was not against it. He's eligible to introduce a new council file to rescind that motion. So, and since that action has already been taken, I don't know, I talked to John Lee's people and they didn't get back to me where exactly it was, but their political people didn't tell me where. But the way I read the documents is that back in 2020, they passed it and said, send it on to the county to close the airport. So what we voted on, and I think now to close it is they've already acted on our council file. Our council file share in the motion, but the motion's already been passed, okay? That they send a letter. So what I'm asking for is that we as the Granada Hills write a letter to John to reconsider and ask to rescind that motion, which he can do since he voted in favor of it.
Thank you, Sid. Alfredo, you've got the floor.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little confused. Did we send that motion, the last motion number 2, back to committee?
Yes, we did.
Did we vote on all of that? Because I don't remember voting.
Yeah, we voted.
We did. I said.
But then Brian suggested amending it after that.
No.
No.
It was a suggestion for me for our next meeting. Okay.
I know there was a bit of confusion here, Alfredo. We were going back and forth, but no, at the end of the day, it was to move it back to committee. Did you want me to retake the vote because you missed it? Well,
I voted for moving it back to committee, but then Brian suggested changing it, and then that's when I missed it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, we're good.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Alfredo.
And
sorry.
And Oscar mentioned that he and I would work out a time and details of how to set it at that agenda up.
Okay, Karen, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I had a comment on the airport, but I wanted to suggest, since we are all here right now, is it possible to check our calendar so that when Oscar and Sid get ready to coordinate the meeting, that we have dates in mind?
So to set up the special meeting, or is it
the
going
ideal
to,
the ideal time would be the third Wednesday at 7 o'clock. That's
which is your normal citywide issues,
right?
Okay, so it'll. Sorry, Sid, go ahead. My apologies.
That would be the ideal time, but if that's not ideal, then we'd have to figure us another time.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. So just on I had a question on Sid, we did a CIS opposing the closing of the airport.
Right.
So are you saying that what
I'm saying is our CIS, if you go to the file, our CIS is there.
Right.
You know,
yes.
However, if you look through all the documents, the original motion has been passed back in 2020 to send a letter to the county to close the airport. Okay. So we're sending to a CIS, a motion that's already been acted on.
Got it.
That's how I read it. Okay. And I didn't get any contrary information from John Lee's office. But I looked at all the votes and he voted in favor of the motion. It was practically a unanimous vote. Everyone voted in favor that it should be closed. So,
Okay, all right.
So what
May
I-
I ask, Sid, did you see any action by the Board of Supervisors?
I couldn't find anything. You know, I've been looking, but I couldn't find anything. So,
Okay.
but I looked at the motion, it's already been passed and sent on. And a letter was prepared to send to the county to close the airport. That's my reading of what was done.
Robert, you've got your hand up. Take the floor, please. And
Yeah,
I'll take-
actually, thank you very much. Actually, there was news on that airport as of January 25th. The Board of Supervisors seek to review the steps for potential Whiteman Airport closure. But if I remember correctly, when I read this originally, it could take years.
No.
Years to close it. Okay. Alfredo, you had your hand up. Did and you took it down. Did you have something to share, sir?
No, I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I don't see any more hands up. Okay, shall we move forward then and take a vote on this? Okay, so any opposed to this motion? State your name, please. Okay, I hear no, I hear none. Any abstentions? Please state your name. I hear none, therefore this motion passes by a unanimous vote of 14.
Thank you. And finally, discussion motion that GHNNC communicate to the City Ethics Commission and City Attorney to open an audit to assess that the attendance at the National Football League Championship and Super Bowl games of any of the following Los Angeles officials, city council members, city mayor, city controller, city attorney, city department heads, and city appointment commissioners was in compliance with the Brown Act. And the reason our committee looked at it, we were watching the highlights of both those games, and many city officials were in prime boxes watching the game. Some on with their mask on or off, but you know, the average price ticket to that game was like $1,100. It's the cheapest seat. Some were going up to $11,000, $12. To sit in a luxury box, it's like $2,000 a seat, something like that. So I'm just wondering how our city officials got there. Did they get free tickets? Did they buy the tickets? To me, it looked a little unusual. That's my feeling. So that was the feeling of the committee, that we should look into it. Maybe they were all there under accordance with the Brown Act. You know, that's often the question. You get $50 tickets for the Lakers game. Can you accept it or whatever? And this is more than a $50 ticket you're talking about. So.
Thank you, sir. Alvin, you had your hand up first, and I will go to Karen and then Brian.
Yeah, so I was just gonna comment on this one. I mean, you know, here we are in a moment where, I mean, it's like we're celebrating something historic in this city, which is really a positive and meaningful thing to the city. And maybe it doesn't matter to those who are not football fans, but let's be honest about something. How many Super Bowl games have you watched where you commonly see a city representative at a ball game, you know, representing their city for an event like the Super Bowl? I mean, I know that this happens in other states, and maybe they have, you know, different, maybe they have different governing ordinances, but I mean, the bottom line is, I mean, this isn't an uncommon thing that you see at major games like the World Series or like the NBA championship or any other sports. It's, if anything, I mean, this is a meaningful event that was a team that was representing the city of LA. And it's, I mean, if anything, I mean, that's an event where, you know, for one, I mean, I'm hoping I'm staying in order here, but for one, I mean, this is an event where our team, where our hometown team, you know, made it to a Super Bowl in our hometown. Not to mention, I mean, it was a worldly attended event with the brand new stadium. So I mean, if anything, I mean, this is an event where you want all city representation. So I mean, my comment honestly is I honestly don't think this is warranted.
Okay,
Why do
thank
we
you.
have
Thank
that?
you, Alvin. Karen, you had your hand next.
Yes, one thing, first is that the, Ethics Commission doesn't enforce the Brown Act. That's the city attorney. The Ethics Commission is, pertaining to ethics and corruption and so forth. Regarding professional sports, this is biased and specifically targeting football just because that's what was televised. But my dear board members, we have numerous professional sports in our city, and our representatives all attend those games. We all attend. I mean, for those of us who like sports anyway, we have NFL. We have 2 teams. We have 2 basketball teams for the NBA. We have the WNBA, which is the Los Angeles Sparks. We have the Los Angeles Dodgers. We have 2 soccer teams, right? Oscar Galaxy and LA Soccer Club, right? Right. And we have the Lakers and the Clippers. So elected officials are expected. If I was a professional athlete, and I'm just going by some of the things I've heard athletes say, I want to see my elected representatives there. That when they purchase a ticket to attend a game, they're, I don't know about you, but the last thing I'm thinking about is work or anything like that. They're going, you can really take a phone only in some of these events anyway, but they're going to have a good time. You know, we're stretching in the wrong arena here. You know, we have many professional sports teams, more than other cities in this country. And this was a global event and the mayor was there. So what? So every time, an elected official decides to attend a game, they're going to have to be accountable. The tickets are affordable for them, maybe not for some of us. For the point, it was $3,500 on the lowest end of them, and up to in the 20s. But we have multiple professional sports teams, so we can't just single out the NFL. Doesn't matter what the tickets cost. I mean, they were probably in the $3,000 range. So I just don't think it's appropriate at all, and I would be voting no on this.
Okay, Ralph, I do see your hand, and I will call you in context. I do see your hand up, and you were after Wade, or excuse me, Sid, and then Alfredo, I'll come to you. So right now, Brian, you are first in the queue.
Yeah, I'm a little contrary to this. To the comments being made, I understand that we have a city and we have city officials, and it would be nice to have them represent us at our public events, etc. But the words being thrown around is maybe $1,100 seats or $3,500 seats, but the fact is that seats were going for $10,000 plus for just the general seats. Seats in the booths that they were in were upwards of 100,000 plus, and I think if a mayor is invited by the team, I think it has to be disclosed that he was invited, not that he wanted to go to the game. And I think that that any of our elected officials have the same responsibility as you and I, and to pay for our seats or recognize that we have been given a gift to go see this. We do appreciate the civic pride. I got that part. But we also have to recognize that the mayor is no better a person than anybody on this council or anybody else in the city. Neither is any other elected official. And this is what gets us in trouble as public officials, and that is taking advantage of the position that we're in. Even if we couch it in the fact that we are showing our constituents that we care. But unfortunately, the constituents don't care if they go see that game or any game. And I don't think it should be limited to football. I think it should be any professional sports that the ticket is more than $50. I think anybody should be responsible to declare why and how they got the tickets. And we don't want to stop them from going, but look, these guys can afford to pay the bill, and we should not be giving them a free ride that nobody else in the city gets. So I think this is a good motion. I think it's an appropriate motion. I think it sends a statement to the city that watch out what you're doing here, guys. You don't let us do it, you should not allow yourself to do it. And don't put yourself above everybody else in the city, because you really aren't. You're getting paid to do what you're doing. You're not volunteering like 1,700 other people are volunteering to help their communities. So that's my thought on it.
Thank you, Brian. Let's see, Wade, you're next, sir. You've got the floor.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak. It might be different if our city council was pure as the driven snow. We've gone through just recently a whole series of pay to play going on over here. And you have a new stadium that was built. How do you know who voted for what when this was going on, when the stadium was built, the approval process? We all know that whole particular thing was dirty to begin with. So I'm just saying, hey, and again, I don't think that they're just being singled out because they're a football league or whatever it is. The reason was that some of those, as Brian and others have pointed out, some of those seats were so high, you couldn't afford to get in there. So how did our city council people afford to get in there? And if they got in there, where did the money come from? That's what we want to know. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I certainly would support that motion. I believe that they need to be held accountable. If there's no problem there and everything's above board, hey, so great. But at least then we have the confidence of knowing that there was nothing dirty going on. This wasn't some kind of payback to these guys that voted to put in that stadium and those things that went on. Okay, so again, I would support this motion, but thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Wade. Sid, you've got the floor.
I couldn't say it any better than Brian or Wade, so I'll give up my rest of my time.
Okay, thank you. Ralph, and Alfredo,
Yes,
come to you.
my thoughts on this is we want to have the ethics committee look at it, and they should feel that they should go to the attorney. It should be them that takes this to the attorney and make a clarification, because we're saying the Brown Act is very specific. We all took the Brown Act training. We need to know, how did they get away with this, or how could they do this? That's why we recommended the Ethics Commission, and they have a duty, I think, to go to the city attorney and clarify this and say, this is something for the city, blah, 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 or what have they come up with? And lawyers are pretty good at that. So that's, I think, the reason we're saying this. It needs a clarification.
Thank you, Ralph. Alfredo?
You know what, young man, everybody was discussing it because the discussion originally got started with the not following protocol and what have you. I think this is a good thing. Everyone has discussed the right things here. So I say we should vote on this.
Thank you, sir. I do have two more. Alvin?
Yeah, so I guess just maybe one thing to point out on here is just suggesting maybe to modify the language a little bit to be a little more specific is specifying, that you would like the audit of the source of the funding towards the mayor attending the ball game, just the language in that context, because it's just overall, it's, the language, maybe it's just the language is a little broad. That's just my thought.
Thank you, sir. Raheem? Unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So my take on this issue is we are a council and we all believe in Brown Act. We have been trying every possible way to act according to Brown Act. And then this issue is we are trying to make sure that our paid city council people, including mayor and all, they are following the Brown Act also. And that the only way we can find out if they were or they were not following the Brown Act is have an audit. So I'm all for it.
Thank you, sir. And Karen?
Yes, I do think we have to be careful here though, because this is the event that you saw, okay? But we have other professional sports, so I definitely think this should be modified. I suggest this be modified to professional sports because we've got, our teams win a lot, okay? So we can't just target one professional event because the Rams have been back since 2016. They have made playoffs numerous times in that last time. They have attended other events. So this is just being targeted because it was a global event and they were seen. But if we're going to discuss this, it should be, our teams are going to win again. So professional sports, instead of singling out one specific event, and it's not even correct because there was a series of events from the wild card to the divisional, to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl. So just to correct I think cleaning up the language a bit is actually appropriate, and to the Ethics Commission, the Ethics Commission is the one that investigates the funds. The Brown Act, they're not attending a meeting, they're not hosting a meeting. So are we adding the Brown Act or are we going with just the Ethics Commission? How is that? How is that? Because you've got two things going on here. You've got the Brown Act and you've got the ethics.
But the Brown Act clearly talks about gifts also, or it does it or does it not?
Meetings. Brown Act is about meetings, and then the ethics.
Talks about point of order.
What's that, Sid?
No, you're not taking people in order. That's
No, I am. Hold on. No, I am. Okay, Karen.
Okay, but thanks, Oscar. I'm done. I've said enough. Thank you.
Chris, you're next.
Yeah, I thinking off the top of my head, I wonder if the request is a little premature. Elected officials have to report their, the gifts they receive or the freebies and, their presence and things like that. So I wonder if there's, waiting to see what the public record says and go for there. I just kind of question the timing, but I'm not on one side or the other. So that's my thoughts, Oscar. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, one more, Brian, and because time check, it is 9:04.
Exactly, I agree with you.
So I want to.
My comment is this: I agree with both Alvin and Karen that we need to change the language a little bit because we don't want to focus on a given sports event, and I also agree with Chris that we really don't know how the receipt of these tickets to these individuals was incurred. So I think the question should be asked of the Ethics Commission to verify and let me make this possible amendment. I would ask the ethics department to verify that there was no inappropriate receipt of donations based on the attendance of public events by any of our elected officials, and eliminate the Brown Act, because the Brown Act really is not the issue here. It is an ethics issue.
Okay, I think we can move forward then. And
That is a motion, and if you get a second,
your motion is to what?
to amend it, to ask the ethics department to verify.
So would it be easier, a motion to have this deferred back to committee?
We could do that. Yeah, that's probably the best way.
That's,
So
I
I
would,
will defer to that. I will make a motion to defer this back to committee.
I will second that motion.
okay, who was that second? Robert?
Robert.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion is to defer this back to committee. Okay, so any opposed, state your name.
There
You
has
still
to
have
be
a
a
couple of
discussion
hands
on tabling.
What's that?
We have a discussion on tabling first. Or
Okay,
postponing.
okay, Sid, go for it.
Yeah, I want to speak against postponing. I think the motions are clear, language here or there. The motion speaks for itself. We want an audit. It's not accusing anybody. We want an audit. And it's just the event that we're looking at. In the future, we expect other things. But right now, I think from the committee, it's as clear as it's going to be. Changing the word only delays the motion.
Okay, so then the motion is to move forward with the,
No, the motion right now is to table. Okay, I'm just speaking
Right.
against tabling.
okay,
Or
got it.
postpone. Okay.
If we're able to make the change in the motion in the language that Sid's talking about, sorry to interrupt, but if we're able to make that, I will withdraw my motion.
Okay, Alfredo, you had your hand up?
Yes, I did, sir, but he just withdrew his motion to make that amendment because I personally think we should just go with the way it's prepared.
Well, it's not withdrawn unless Robert agrees.
Robert?
Mr. Moore, where are you?
I'm right here. Actually, I think it should go back for a little better clarification. I think Karen and Alvin are right on this. And I think, the committee's correct in this, but it needs to, instead of focusing on one event, we should be looking at all events.
I would agree. Okay, so the
Just as a point of order, Oscar,
Do I get to
the
speak?
motion
Yes.
stands, and
Yep, and so
you can
let's,
still finish discussion, but you still have to take a vote on it.
yep.
I had my
Ralph,
hand up.
Ralph, do you have your hand up? Go ahead.
Yes, I did. When we say the Ethics Commission, they can look at this or any other program. This is a starter, just to get something going. We don't limit it just to that. We're looking at, here's an event, let's start. Find out what the Ethics Commission can find, and they can control or get with the legal system if they want to, but this starts the system, and that's what we meant.
Okay, thank you. So the motion on the table at the moment is to defer this to committee, back to committee. Okay. And that discussion, I think we can close now. I don't see any hands regarding that motion. Okay, so let's take a vote. Those opposed to deferring this back to committee, please state your name.
I oppose.
You opposed?
Ralph?
Alfredo
Opposed?
Castillo.
Do we
Well,
raise our
correct.
hands?
Alfredo Castillo, state your name. It's easier that way, please, because if,
Okay, Sidney Gold, I'm
thank you.
opposed.
Okay, anyone else?
Well, did you get my name?
I got Ralph, I got Alfredo, and I've got Sid.
Can you
So
unmute
far.
everybody, sir? Because looks like there's a lot of muted people here.
Well, they can unmute if they, let's see. Okay. So I've got 3 opposed. Any abstentions?
Chris Coyle abstains.
Chris Coyle, any others? State your name. I don't hear any others. Okay, any yeses? State your name. We're going to do this since we do have oppositions and abstentions. So yeses.
Brian.
Alvin,
Wait, Brian Allen. Okay,
Rahim Kazi,
Raheem Kazi,
Robert Moore.
Robert Moore. Unmute yourselves. Who else?
Graham Zach.
Okay, anyone else?
Jason Lester.
Jason Lester, okay.
Nathan Lee.
Nathan Lee,
This is going back to committee. Is this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes, this is to go back to committee. So who's, Karen, where were you?
yes, yes.
Denitza,
Yes.
let's see, whom did we not get? We got Chris, Nathan, Robert.
Alvin
many
Waters, yes.
Alvin Waters, yes, okay. That's 9, 10, 13, so that leaves myself and I am a yes.
So that's 10 yeses.
So there are 10 yeses, 3 opposed, and 1 abstention.
Motion passes.
That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Okay, outreach and publicity.
Oh, I want to, just, the shred
Wait,
event. will-
sorry, Karen, before you go, Denisa, you had your hand up.
Oh, it was only for the vote. Sorry.
Oh, okay, and Sid, you had your hand up. but
It's
I
for
think
the.
that was for your opposition. Okay, got it. Yeah, no, I prefer
No, I understand.
to hear your name because no one can see the video, and this way at least it's heard.
Okay, no
Okay,
problem.
thank you. So Karen, please take it away.
Yes, I will be very quick so we can move on to public safety. I wanted to just one comment about the homelessness count. Our retired senior lead officer, for those who knew her, Janine Angeles, advised against this. Her former partner during her time serving in our district as senior lead, her partner had an interaction with a homeless person. The partner was jabbed by an object, and some of you might remember this. The object from the cart, whatever was on it, caused a permanent injury to her partner, and he's on permanent leave, workers' comp leave, because of that injury he sustained. I'm still in contact with her. She's doing great, by the way, but she advised against this. So there are paid people at LASA who can do this. And, we are volunteers and we do take homelessness seriously, but just for the protection of all of our health, as compassionate as we are about the issue, and liability concerns, I just think there's others that can do that. And Brian and I actually had some discussion about that before. And then the other thing is our shred event, which is going to be a Earth Day weekend. And so please mark your calendars for that. Everyone come out so that we can have a great event, and we'll have advertising will be going out within the month. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Karen. Brian, you have your hand up.
Very quickly, I will tell you, when John Horn was mentioning this, I wanted to say something, but it was inappropriate. It was public comment. But the fact is, and you can ask anybody that's involved in this, the homeless count, as good intentioned as it may be, it's done for one reason, and that is to get federal government satisfied to get money. but the count is inaccurate. They do not count every person. They see a trailer, they see a camper, they see a car, they count one, and that's it. And then they try to convince us that they have these special algorithms that bring the count into a valid count. And I can tell you from a mathematical point of view, they have never provided any evidence as to how they do that, why it works, and it is a waste of frickin' time. Excuse my language. And I think the danger to this, if you were to actually try to count, is enormous. These people can be dangerous. And I agree totally with what we did this year. We stayed away from it, and we should stay away from it. And we should make a statement about that so that somewhere along the line, somebody handles this process properly. So I thank you for bringing that up, Karen, and allowing me to say that.
You can always count on me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, Oscar, take it away. Unmute yourself.
All right, sorry, time check, 9:16. We do need to keep this moving. All right, so Nathan, it's yours. You got the floor.
All right, thank you, Oscar. The next item on the agenda is item K1, and that's discussion and motion for DOT, Department of Transportation, to install no parking signs between 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. for large vehicles over 7 feet high and 22 feet long on the north and south side of Rinaldi Avenue from Aliso Canyon to Zelza Avenue. As I mentioned earlier tonight, we've had a lot of complaints from concerned stakeholders regarding recreational vehicles and large vehicles parked on Rinaldi in this area, Aliso Canyon to Zelza. Does not appear that the situation has improved over the last several months. And this is a concern of stakeholders and including myself. So I know we've discussed this matter at the Public Safety Committee, and now we bring it here to the board's attention.
All right, it's open for discussion. Anyone have comments? Robert, you've got the floor.
Yeah, I drove through there on Saturday, and there are signs, not in the area that we're discussing tonight, but there's signs on the south side of the street, past on Rinaldi, up to Woodley is what I drove up to. I drove from Porter Ranch out to Woodley, and there are signs. And the funny part is the signs are great and everything. They're brand new signs, but they're still RV encampments parked. So we need enforcement as well.
And that was the first item that was under the president's. That's why Nathan put that up there. So hopefully we can start enforcing, those laws. Let's see, Sid, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Yeah. On item 3, I just tried to remember whether there was always a right turn lane there or whether the lane has been taken away because of the road diet that been put in for the bicycles, whether they took away a lane.
Oh, you're on item 3. We're still finishing item 1 here.
Oh, I thought we were discussing. My apologies.
No, Sid, that's okay. We'll get to that one.
Okay, sorry.
But your point is valid. Okay, so any further discussion on point 1? Okay, so let's move forward then and take a vote on that, K1. Any opposition? State your name. Any abstentions? State your name. I hear none. Opposition or abstentions, therefore this motion passes with the unanimous vote of 14. All right, Nathan, you got the floor on second item.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. The second item, item K2, discussion and motion for DOT, Department of Transportation, to install no parking signs between 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. for large vehicles over 7 feet high and 22 feet long on the north and south side of Rinaldi Avenue from Aliso Canyon to the 405 freeway. Again, this is a concern of our stakeholders regarding recreational vehicles. This item K2 is a little broader in scope than item K1, but nonetheless, it's an item that has been requested by stakeholders, including but not limited to stakeholder Kelsey Hawthorne and her father. I know Deborah Wexler complained earlier, I believe today, regarding Bermuda Street, and previously stakeholder Sushmita Saha complained about RVs on Rinaldi. So again, this is an ongoing concern, as we've discussed previously tonight and at prior meetings, including at the Public Safety Committee meeting. So with that, I'll submit. I'll open it up for discussion.
Brian, you've got the floor. Unmute yourself, please.
This issue, well, I don't think there's any issue here of us passing it. I just want to weigh in and say that in this particular area, it would also go a little way to helping the issue that Barbara Malin, who's also here an attendee still, has with Bircher, that we all have with Bircher. The fact is, he has from time to time stored product down there on Rinaldi as well. So I think this will have better effect than just eliminating campers. Thanks.
I'm just sorry, Karen. I know you see, but did we not pass a motion on this one already
We did have
for that particular section, or am I?
not for, wait a minute, which one? Oh, we're on number 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah, number 2. I thought we had already.
We have Rinaldi Avenue from Aliso to 405. The other one had Bermuda Street. So this one, the stretch, it opens it up more because the complaints are that it's been, that before it was Bermuda Street near the Odyssey. Is that right? That was where the original motion was.
Yeah.
So this one is just covering all of it, because the problem is, these motorhome owners are clever, to the point of all the stakeholders. I see those most of us see those emails, and they'll park where there isn't a sign, or they'll try to squeeze in between where there isn't signage. So just get those signs on there, on both sides.
But I thought there was signage already. So Bermuda, which is the street up to the Odyssey. So we had approved from Bermuda going west to a certain street, because beyond that street, I think there's already signage
for trailers.
prohibiting for trailers. Yes.
Right, but that doesn't cover these
okay,
monster homes, if you want to call
them. My
them.
bad. Okay, Karen, so you have the floor. Sorry.
Okay, but I'm good. I just encourage the aye vote on this, because we've all been through this for years.
Yep. Alfredo, you got the floor.
Yes, sir. My son reminded me that I should ask that we remove the stop signs on Joliet and Cessna.
Joliet and Cessna. Okay, so that's something that we can bring to the public.
Yeah, it kind of hinders the flow of traffic. It's almost like it's helping the traffic that we encounter going from cutting through to Santa Clarita by putting a stop sign there.
So then that's something.
But going back to this motion here. Sorry, I didn't to get off track there. My son just yelled at me. He says, "Hey, have him remove it." He goes,
Tell him to email GHNNC.org.
Wow.
Okay.
Board at GHNNC.org.
Right. There you go.
Hey, anyway, as far as this motion here, number 2, I'm actually seeing that motion number 2 encompasses also motion number 1, because now you're going from Aliso Canyon all the way to 405, which is all of Rinaldi that pertains to Granada Hills North neighborhood council.
Right.
So why don't we just do the whole thing? And I mean, it's almost, when we go that broad, what ends up happening, we might not get it approved. Because there's certain areas that are a little less traffic than others that may allow it, or maybe some commercial areas there. That's just my comment on that, because number 2 encompasses also number 1, and that's all.
Aren't they different sections?
No, north and south Rinaldi from Aliso Canyon all the way to the 405, which is all of Granada Hills.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh yeah, it's basically the entire Rinaldi. If you go
Our entire street,
405 to Zelza.
Yeah, pretty aggressive. I like it.
Shoot for the stars and see what you get. Right, Brian, you've got the floor.
Yeah, I don't think that was intended. There is a section between Zelza and Woodley that is already covered.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You're
the
right.
largest section, and or a large section. So I think we may want to consider an amendment here to change that from I guess I'm trying to figure out exactly change the Aliso, get rid of the Aliso Canyon and go from Woodley to the 405. Because
Can we say amended, excluding areas already covered under this?
There you go.
Oh, you could do that.
So what are we saying now? Discussion.
Well, to specifically, we're looking at Zelza, Aliso Canyon to Zelza, and then we're looking at Woodley to 405.
Okay.
That's what these two motions, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, but I think that's what we were intending.
Well, even if they're already posted there, right? I mean, if part of that street is already covered, then I'm sure, I would hope that
Well,
our
doesn't
city
hurt.
services wouldn't duplicate it. But then again,
You never know.
you never know,
These
right?
services.
Okay, so do we want to amend this motion then to say discussion motion for DOT to install no parking signs between 2 a.m. 6 p.m. for large vehicles over 7 feet high and 22 inches long on the north and south side of Rinaldi Avenue from Woodley to 405 South.
You're just changing the Aliso Canyon to Woodley.
Yep.
Yeah, excluding areas already covered.
Including areas already covered.
You don't want to say excluding because that might mean to some people you take the signs off.
I think the intention is there, Roy. Thank you. Ralph, sorry, Ralph.
So, okay, so are we gonna just leave it? The only thing we're changing is Aliso Canyon to Woodley.
Correct.
Okay, just for clarification. Okay, so that is a motion. Any other discussions on that? I don't think so. Okay, we're gonna move on. It's 9:30.
Only if you get a second.
Okay, I'll second that. Okay, so let's take a vote. Any opposed? State your name. Hear none. Any abstentions? State your name. Okay, this motion passes unanimously with 14 votes. And let's move on to the next one.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, go Nathan.
All right. The next item is item K3. It's a discussion and motion requesting increased Los Angeles Police Department police enforcement of a right turn only signage in the third lane of northbound Balboa Boulevard at Woodley Avenue, where 3 lanes merge into 2 lanes. Oscar did circulate a draft letter that the Public Safety Committee prepared on this issue, which kind of goes into detail for those of you that had a chance to review the draft letter that Oscar sent out previously. It kind of covers a lot of the issues. There was a question earlier tonight about the sign itself, or I believe a question regarding a bike lane. I personally am not familiar with any bike lane being removed, but I'll defer to anybody on the board here that does have more experience with the history of that particular lane. I believe the sign itself says, quote unquote, right lane must turn right. That's the language for the sign that's in place currently. That's at the issue in item K3.
That's correct. I agree with you. That's
That
what
is
the sign-
absolutely correct.
Yep.
I live right here, and believe me when I tell you that just last week somebody died because they went through that damn turn and there was a huge accident right there at the soccer fields.
Okay, so Sid, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just don't have a perfect memory, but I don't remember that right lane being there when I moved in here. And I remember one day seeing that a lane was taken away going north. And basically we had a road calming, as they call it, or a road diet to make a bicycle lane to which no one uses, except on Saturdays. And I think what I would like to is to keep the motion as is, further recommend to the Department of Transportation to remove the bike lane except for hours on Saturday and Sunday. That would be a further recommendation, because all they're doing is all that traffic is going north at after 3:30 and just making them condense into two lanes when they're going three. So it was a ridiculous move, I think, to take away the lane. I think we should ask them to open it and make it a bike lane on the weekends. Then it wouldn't be a problem. So that's my amendment.
Okay, Karen, you've got the floor.
Yes, I just wanted to offer to Nathan the contact at our new contact at Council District 12 for DOT matters is Lorena Espinal. And so she will be sending it off to Sylvia Ambramian. I can't pronounce the other name. She's the transportation engineer for the Valley. So I can, email you that information, Nathan, so you'll have that's how it gets, how that gets addressed from the DOT.
That'd be great. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Karen. Alfredo, you've got the floor.
I was just asking, I was just making a comment that there was a third lane there that would become open when there was heavy traffic. And that all those things were taken off just recently when they added all those pylons to narrow the streets, specifically coming south on Balboa as well from Foothill. And so those things were taken off. The Suburban Transportation thought it was necessary to remove those things. They did narrow it into basically a 4-lane highway versus a 6-lane highway, basically going 3 going south and 3 going north. And so they started those changes happened right there at Woodley and Balboa. So that's I just wanted to make that comment. That's when that happened. That's when that changed. That was recent. That was probably a year, maybe a year and a half. It was done. I don't know why they did it during pandemic.
I think it was long. It was done before that. I think.
Was it done before?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was done before.
And I'll give
before Salaridge, I think.
Hold on. Okay, let's go in order. Hold on. Okay.
Thank you.
Because we're running. It's already 9:30. So Brian, you have the floor.
Yeah, one more time. That bike lane doesn't exist south of Balboa, south of Woodley. However, on Balboa. However, the change was made about 2 or 3 years ago, and that has not stopped the accidents, has not stopped the deaths, and I would be adamantly opposed to opening that up to 3 lanes again, simply because what you're going to do is you're going to kill more people. The traffic on Balboa comes up to 80 miles an hour sometimes, and I would be in favor of shutting down the damn 3rd lane south of Woodley, because you cannot go up that street at a safe speed. It's just impossible, because nobody, and I mean nobody, drives under 55, 60 miles an hour. And no. I think everybody has to appreciate that this is a really dangerous area, and nobody knows that unless you drive it regularly.
So I'm going to give, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Alfredo. I know you are. There is a youth sports park there. Just a quarter past that, there's an entry that goes down the hill. You don't see it from Balboa, and it houses both a youth baseball and a youth soccer AYSO program. I am involved in both. I am the president of GIRAC, who oversees that facility. I'm on the executive board for AYSO for the soccer program. I've been there for 20 years. That has always been a concern. And I've dealt with John Lee directly about that, about policing that corner, because to Nathan's point, and everybody here, cars don't respect it. They get to it, they want to merge into the left. If not, they just go across. Several years back, there were pillars that were put there to block off the bike lane that is there now. I think it's already probably on the third time that they've replaced those, because people, again, to Brian's point, people speed. I remember one time when I was commissioner of AYSO, getting a call in the afternoon. By the way, hey, Oscar, a car was speeding. It lost control. It went into the dirt ditch by the entrance to that facility. It hit a boulder, a huge boulder, and that boulder ended up in the middle of the driveway, the entrance to that facility, to the point, something so huge that I had to get a tow truck to come out and move that boulder. It couldn't be moved by anyone. I mean, the person at that point, I think there was one fatality. So anyway, to Brian's point, even though it did have 3 lanes at one time, I think 2 is appropriate because of the speed of these people. If you had 3, believe me, I mean, it would be terrible. Nathan, I like the letter. And like I said, I've dealt with John Lee directly. As a matter of fact, he would come to some of our meetings for AYSO, and that's where we would talk about this issue. So I like the letter. I think we should push it more, you know. As far as policing, that's, I think, what we really need more of, to get the message through to people that they can't just merge into the left lane. They have to make that right turn. So the other concern that I would have had with a 3rd lane being involved with those 2 programs is that in the afternoons, when parents are taking their kids to practice to that facility, they would have to get into that 3rd lane. Now, if that was a lane, I can only imagine, you know, it's hard to slow down and get these people to slow down. So as a parent, when I would have to drive into that facility, I would always have to look in my rearview mirror just to make sure that there wasn't a car coming close to me, so that I could safely make that right turn into the facility. So anyway, that's my experience with that intersection. More needs to be done. The other thing and I'm going to share this as far as our parents, you know, and I say our because, again, I'm very active in that program. When they have practices in the afternoons during rush hour, it's very difficult for our parents to get out of there because there's only one way out of that facility, and it's onto Balboa. So you can only imagine all these parents trying to get, you know, make a left turn from that facility onto Balboa. Very difficult to do. So believe me, that intersection has been a sore subject with John's office, but we have to do something. So Wade, you've got the floor.
Yeah. Whoops. Thank you. Just want to say there's a reason for losing the 3rd lane. It's a choke point. It's intended. That's why that turn, the right turn coming up north on Balboa to Woodley is there, because the cars are speeding so fast. It was dangerous for them to even be able to turn up Woodley. So by making it a turn only lane, that at least gave them some safety. The other one was what you're talking about, the AYSO, and giving them a little bit of a break there, so at least they could get the front of their cars out, because before you couldn't. Not only that, the S curve is right there at that point. Those people were flying up there. It was really, really dangerous. So removing the 3rd lane was intended to make a choke point there, safety-wise. The other thing is, you've got to consider, if you were to open up a 3rd lane, you're going to get twice as much traffic. Right now, some people actually avoid Balboa because it's easier to go down to the 405 and get on and come up. It's quicker than actually coming up Balboa. So if you were to open that up, that third lane, you'd have even more. And what would they do? They get down to the freeway. They will not widen the bridge, which we've asked for before. They won't widen the bridge. So they just choke up there. And then we'll be back where we were before, back down to San Fernando Mission Boulevard with backup. So believe me, you don't want that third lane there. The other thing was that we can talk about was it completes the bike trails, if you will, through the city to get them to the out to the very outside of the city, basically out to Silmar and that. They're fine. Otherwise, they have no way, because otherwise those bike lanes and things would end in our communities. And so they had to run them out onto Balboa because of the hills. Anyway, I just wanted you, while you're all thinking about that, you don't want to mess with that third lane. Trust me. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Wade. Alfredo?
What the heck?
Ralph, I'll come to you, Ralph. Alfredo, we can't hear you. Are you?
There is a problem with this intersection. Obviously, we all know it. I think when you are being forced to make a right turn into your facility, I mean, I know it's not yours personally, Oscar, but you know what I mean? As far as your making a right turn in there, it's such a sharp turn that normally you make a 90-degree turn. And the way that the street angles there, the way that it turns, it's almost like you're making like a 35-degree right turn. It's not quite a 90-degree turn there. And I'm sorry, and it causes a little bit of a problem, obviously. I'm wondering if there would be an idea, because there's a good piece of land there, and then I'm wondering if they could expand that for people to maybe not make such a sharp turn, but maybe ease into it and create like an additional lane.
Yeah, and I've had those discussions.
From Balboa,
yeah,
and Woodley,
widen that entrance. Yes, I've had that discussion with John's office. Yeah,
maybe they need to hear it from us.
So, okay, so are we good with this? I don't see any more comments. Okay, so let's. Ralph, I'm sorry, Ralph. Yes, you go for it.
I don't know. Do I have to yell a little more? Anyway, there are a couple of comments. One, we have a real shortage of policemen on the speeding. Speeding is a whole problem on Balboa. And that's one of the main things that we have as a problem. The other is the people that sell the bollards, they have marvelous salesmen, because people keep knocking them down and you keep putting them up. And whoever sells those things has a good return on their investment. I say that somewhat humorously because I see them knocked down all the time. But the main thing is we need help to slow people down, and that's police.
Yep,
People aren't going to slow down unless they.
And that is in Nathan's letter, so that we need to have more enforcement.
It's got to be a very emphasized thing, because it's a dangerous street.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. All right, I don't see any more. Let's move on then and take a vote on this item. K3. Okay, any opposed to this letter? State your name. I hear none. Any abstentions? State your name. I hear none. Okay, this motion passes unanimously with 14 votes. All right, Nathan, let's move on to K4.
All right, I'll try to push this through quickly. Item K4, it's discussion and motion for DOT, Department of Transportation, to install no lift turn sign onto, it should say Balboa Boulevard there. It does so in the letter that was attached that was circulated to the board. from Cessnon Boulevard. Cessnon Boulevard needs to be marked as no left turns from between 4 to 7 p.m. And again, this was all referenced in the attached letter that Oscar circulated previously. The letter addresses the issue of congestion in that area where we have motorists cutting through the neighborhood to try to make that left turn onto Balboa from Cessnon. And so you have motorists speeding through the neighborhood at high rates of speed and trying to make illegal left turns at other places up and down Balboa Boulevard. So this item is intended to try to address and tackle that issue, to try to eliminate some of the congestion, eliminate some of the speeding through the local residential neighborhood.
Alfredo?
Yeah, it's just a bit of a concern here. You making the left turn onto Balboa Boulevard from Cessna. There's a traffic signal there.
That's correct. Yeah, we're trying to, the intention behind the item is to try to eliminate left turns between 4 and 7 p.m. Similar to the other signage that's further south on Balboa Boulevard from other eastbound facing streets.
So it's just an adjustment on the traffic signal for them to be able to accomplish, not necessarily the no left turn signal, because it's a programming issue and not necessarily a sign issue.
Well, I think it's probably both because you can't.
Because I go there all the time and I do make those left turns at those times, but not always. But you know, the turn signal just turns right away and to make those left turns. And well, if it can't be done, proceed.
Let's see, Brian, you've got the floor. Thank you, Alfredo. Brian?
I was under the impression that was noticed with no left turn 4 to 7. Maybe the sign was taken down, but I remember that there was signs across the street, not before you get to Balboa, not on the east side, on the west side, but on the east side, there was a sign saying no left turn 4 to 7. It should already be there. I'll go by there tomorrow.
Thank you, Brian. I thought, wasn't that one of the initial places that we had said the sign needs to go there, but they put it elsewhere? And this is what Michael Greenwald had been going back to DOT saying, when are you going to change the sign? So that's what Nathan is in your letter, is that had been approved to put that signage there, but they put it in the wrong place. Well, DOT never came back to fix the problem. So this is a letter to say, well, keep the other one where you got it there already, but we need this on Cessna as well. Chris, you had your hand up?
Yeah, evening. Okay, so if Cessna, you can't between 4 and 7 make a left turn, what's the next, I guess, further south place where you can make a left turn legally? You got people that live in the neighborhood, they may have to go north between 4 and 7, and just kind of thinking common sensically, yeah,
Mission Tierra, I think.
Okay,
yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah,
well, no, Mission Tierra is not, no, Mission Tierra is above it, going the other direction towards Rinaldi. But anyway, I just asked a question in general, right? You have to be able to turn left coming out of the neighborhoods during 4 and 7. So where do you want it to happen? I guess is just all I say.
It's safe for the traffic signal. Yeah, you're right.
I had a controlled intersection that already has a stoplight. I would think that's the best, but you all know the neighborhood much better than I do.
Thank you, Chris. Ralph, and then I'll come to you, Wade. Ralph?
Yes. We have a no left turn at Tennyson. And the original thing from our group was no left turn from 4 to 7 p.m. And they made it no left turn at all. And what you're almost forcing people to do is make a right-hand turn and make a U-turn at at the next site. And that doesn't work either.
So that sounds like that's something else that we have to coordinate with DOT.
It should have been
have them fixed.
4 to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
during the day.
Okay, so something else that we might have to send to Nathan to coordinate with DOT. Wade, you've got the floor. Unmute yourself.
Sorry.
There you
Thank
go.
you for the thank you for the opportunity to speak. That the issue of posting, okay, these signs about no turn 4 to 7, etc., was extensively looked at. I mean, extensively. And what we came up with was a plan, okay, in order to stop, because first off, there was Waze was sending all of this traffic through the neighborhoods, period, because Balboa would back up and Waze would send them through and they were speeding. It was terrible, okay? Now, the moment that those signs are posted, Waze has to put them into their system, which turns around and stops the people from coming into the neighborhood. So getting the signs posted where we wanted them, okay, would alleviate a problem. Is there a bit of inconvenience to the neighbors? Yeah, if you go between 4 and 7, but what idiot would go out between 4 and 7 and go north on Balboa? Not me, because I'm smarter. I'll go earlier or I'll go later, but I would not go in that time because it's always a mess. So yeah, there's a little bit if you have to get out, but we're all smart because if you realize you can go down another street, you can drive over into the Knollwood area and come back out because that's not posted there. And you can turn right and you're okay. The whole idea was to stop people from coming through the neighborhood and trying to get to the front of the lineup.
Funny guy.
Okay. And so if you permit anybody to be able to turn in that period of time, okay, 4 to 7 on any other intersections, we took it down through, I think Pine Ridge and Gillette was the last place. So they could come out, I think, or at Midwood. In other words, there was no advantage for them to cut through the neighborhood anyway, because if they had to go south, because you're not stopping them, you're just telling them go south and get in the back of the line. That's all you're telling them to do. Okay, you have to turn right on Balboa, get to the back of the line. So we had it all figured out. So the reason is they did not post on Cessnon, which was a critical one. So what happened was Waze started sending these people through the neighborhood again, and now they're out there again making the turn, okay, left on Balboa between 3 and 7. So again, we spent an awful lot of time on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Wade. I love your passion, but I think someone's going to say something about the 4 to 7 left turn. Graham, you've got the floor, my friend.
Yes, I live off of Cessnon there. Anyone in that neighborhood, in this area,
Ralph, I'll come to you in a minute.
There's multiple ways you can get in. I mean, I turn on Westbury and I could go to Cessnon, which might be quicker. But at that time, yeah, traffic's crazy. And I agree with Wade. They send you through the neighborhood, and I live right off of Cessnon, up there by the park, and people do just like crazy zoom through there, like flying like drag cars to get through the neighborhood to get to the other side. So I'm all in favor of this. I think it's a great idea because there's Orozco, if that's how you say it, south of there's Westbury, and north there's, I think, Timber Ridge or whatever it is, that you can get into the neighborhood on these smaller ones and not have Cessnon's a main one that they're going to turn on to zoom through to get by that traffic. So I just living right there, I see it all the time.
Thank you, Graham. Ralph, you've got the floor.
Yes, I live on Titian, right across from the Van Gogh School. The no left-hand turns from 4 to 7 p.m. is greatly appreciated because even though I'm a long distance away from some of the other places, it became difficult for me to even get out of my house. because they're speeding past the school area. But fortunately, the school isn't in session at 4 to 7 p.m., but it is dangerous. And even if kids are playing around, it's not safe because they don't go 25 miles an hour. They're going 40 miles an hour on the city streets. And it's a very dangerous thing. So I'm all in favor for the 4 to 7 p.m.
Thank
but
you,
not
Ralph.
No left turns at all on Tennyson.
Okay, one more, Karen, because it is 9:55.
Yes,
I do want to get,
All I was gonna say is let's call the question and get a
thank
vote.
you.
and
I
move
agree
along.
with you. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Discussion closed on this. Let's take a vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Any opposed to this? State your name. I hear none. Any abstentions? State your name. I hear none. Therefore, this motion passes unanimously by a 14 vote. All righty. Ooh, okay, let's see if we can get here out of here by 10. Okay. West Valley Neighborhood Alliance on Homelessness Representative Report. Graham, do you have anything for us today?
Yes, I sent out that email earlier today. Everyone should have gotten, which I'm going to do, I think is most effective due to time on some of these meetings for people to review the information, have the agenda, and have, I'll put links in there and any notes like I did so you can review them. If you have any questions, you could bring them up during this report that I'd be happy to answer. I'm still trying to get a hold of that CIS that I mentioned in the email. And anything that needs to be taken action on, as I mentioned before in the last report, that I will, that it's going to have to be the following meeting. So I'll try to add that in. There were no actions taken, and there's just some updates per the agenda, but nothing significant. So to keep it brief, that's that. If you have any questions on any of the things on the agenda, or any of the events, there's that event coming up. That's the County Board of Supervisors District 3 Forum on March 20th from 4 to 5. They made a big note on that. So if anyone wants to attend that, otherwise, that's it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Wayne, do you have your hand up or did I miss? you?
Yes, no, I put it up as sort of a point of order. I just like to point out that you have item O, student representative report, almost last item on the agenda. And I would like to suggest either you call that person now or you in the future schedule it much earlier, because I don't think that's fair to, a school kid to keep them up till 10 o'clock at night.
No,
But
that's a
thank
good,
you.
that's a good point. Unfortunately, our student representative resigned, so.
Oh,
but
I did not.
No, but wait, for future reference, that's a great point. No, I agree. So thank you.
I did not
for-
know that. I kind of looked and I felt bad because I've been rambling on and I'm looking there and going, and some poor kid sitting up trying to, get to speak, and it's way too.
Okay,
late.
well, maybe next time we won't let you ramble on too much.
Works for me.
I'm kidding, Wade. I'm joking.
No, I
But-
take it off. I
but-
understand what I.
But your suggestion is well taken.
Okay,
I
thanks
agree.
again.
I agree.
Thank
Thank you. Okay, small business representative report, Mr. Allen. Unmute yourself.
Nothing.
Nothing. Thank you, sir. Faith-based representative report, Mr. Croy.
Yes, I'd like to thank Karen. The church, Norwood Methodist Church, has a large Tongan group, and Tonga had a severe damage from a volcano and needed to have help. And I was referred to Lee's office, and Councilman Lee put in a report on several times now about donations for the Tongans. So it's on their Friday night report, his report.
Oh, nice. Oh, excellent. His weekly report. Good job.
Yes.
Wonderful. That's
That's
great.
excellent. Good job. Thank you, Ralph.
Well, I'm just saying thank you for referring me, because I thought we would get some help through the council here, but it was more important to get it through the council district.
Oh, yeah,
So-
he's got a wider network.
Yes,
So,
so.
yep.
You're
Yep.
welcome, Ralph.
So thank you. All right. And then we're going to move to board member announcements. We'll go around the room. We'll start with Karen.
Good night. Sleep tight.
Okay, thank you. Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to recommend that Wade be nominated for membership in District 3.
Okay. Wade. Okay, Alfredo.
I did want to say something, and with things that I observed, Nathan, incredible. You were 4 for 4 today. You got all your discussions and motions approved. That's awesome. Great job with that. And they were very well thought out, and really appreciate that. I also do want to say that we have had a great discussion here and in everything that we've done. Needless to say, we do need to put that student representative a little further in our discussions. I also do want to say thank you, Oscar, for having the patience to handle all the people here and keeping yourself organized. As to, I don't know how you do it, but let me tell you, having that patience, that's pretty incredible.
Oh, thank you, Alfredo. I appreciate that. Thank you. Having a good board makes a difference too. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Chris, where's Mr. Coyle?
Good evening. There you go. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, no, kind of here on the student representative, moving them up in the agenda. And yeah, Oscar, I don't know how you do it either. So that's all I have to say. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Graham.
Thanks, everyone. It's a great meeting. Good night.
Thank you. Well, that almost sounded like a TV announcer, anchor or something. Good night. All right, Sid.
Thanks. I just like to thank the board for the great discussions. They helped me look at my committee in a different way, and I think that's a great way of doing things. So I didn't bat 1,000, but I think we had some good discussions. I enjoyed the discussion. Thank you.
Here. I agree. Thank you, Sid. Raheem.
Yeah, I just want to second the motion by Brian to bring Wade Hunter on the board. So I second that motion. And also thank you all the board members for staying this late and actively participating throughout. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Ralph.
Yes. On the discussion with the school board member, I felt she never really answered the question. She sort of batted around and thought that I should do something. It's the Los Angeles Unified School District that needs to make the change. And I don't know what we have to do to get them to do that, because being a graduate from actually my brother and I both graduated from a manual arts school, the Henry Ford Trade School. And just because we did that didn't stymie us. He went to MIT, got an electrical degree and mechanical degree, and eventually got a doctorate degree from UCLA. And I went to Michigan, got a mechanical engineering degree, and became an officer in the Army.
Ralph, point of order. This is I'm sorry, it's 10 o'clock. This is an announcement. So
I understand that, but I didn't get to say, I'm just saying she didn't do. Just because you go to a manual arts program doesn't mean you're stymied. And that's the situation I seem to get from the LAUSD. They want everybody to go to college. It's not going to work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Nathan?
Yeah, sure. Just real briefly, Alfredo, thanks for the kind words. I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody on the Public Safety Committee that kind of helped with preparing those letters. That was Bill Cotter, Wade Hunter, Brian Allen, and Robert Moore. So thank you so much. And also kudos to Oscar and both Karen as well for helping guide the agenda tonight and helping with all that you guys do to help out with the board. So thank you both. Appreciate it. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Jason?
Thank you. I don't want to really follow up after Nathan. He's well spoken and articulate, so it just makes me sound like, lost. But I just have 3 quick points I want to make. I'm glad we discussed the transparency with the ethics as far as what was going on with the Super Bowl, and that's being addressed, because that is a concern of mine, not specifically with the Super Bowl, but just in general. Second, I wanted to give a shout out to Nathan. I really like the way that you mentioned specific members of the community who had contacted you, that you had called them out by name for discussing that with you. I thought that was a very good thing to do. And Alfredo, I'm totally digging the beard. And thank you, everybody. Awesome meeting, and good to see everybody again, like usual.
Thank you, Jason. Robert? Unmute yourself, please.
Wasn't unmuting. Sorry about that. I'm not going to beleaguer this anymore. Just going to say good night, everybody. Great.
Thank you, sir. Danitza?
I just want to once again thank Karen for her support on the Plum Committee and all her work. And just, a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Alvin?
My board member announcement is what Robert said.
Okay, thank you. Then lastly, myself, then thank you, everyone. And I do want to say thank you to all of you for everything that you do. Karen, I want to thank you also, because I know that you help me, you guide me, you take on some stuff that I can't do. And I really appreciate you being there for me to help me with those
You're
things,
welcome.
to help me with those things that I can't. So, but I know here as a team, as a board, together, we do a great job, and our community is only getting the best. So with that, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Good night.
right.
Great meeting, everyone.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Yes.
Good
Great
job,
meeting.
Nathan. Good job, everybody.
Good night, everybody.